Good evening and welcome to another exciting show. And tonight we've got the bowler hat farmer. Good evening. And he's got a note from his parents from last night. We don't know what happened, but I think it was Keir Starmer myself. That's who we should blame it on. That's the
Well,
bastard that's what put the spanner in the works. It's Keir Starmer. Definitely, little bastard, because I think he wanted to come on the show and he just, threw a tantrum. And if you believe that bullshit, you believe anything. Anyway, it's great to get you back. And of course, you've got your own YouTube channel now. So plug, 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 plug.
yeah, we got. I think we got about 13,500 on the YouTube channel now, Chris. And
Bloody hell.
I think on Facebook we've got 37,000 nearly now on Facebook.
Excellent.
Without
Excellent.
all
As we
the
like to
other
hear.
platforms, it's like everything, Chris. You play about with it, it gets bigger.
Well, that's probably the problem last night. Something came up, didn't it? But now we've got Newkey Brown, who's first out the gate tonight, you see. And Newkey Brown, hang on, why isn't this coming? Why isn't this coming on the screen?
So we're not on the main screen yet.
No. Are you on the main screen?
No.
What the bleeding hell's going on? I don't know. The poxy thing. Right, let's go back to like. No, it's not showing the stuff. Rumble's got a mind of its own, but must be room administrator to pin a message. But I am. Oh well. Anyway, now Newkey Brown was the first.
You're muted. Not only has Chris muted himself, he's disappeared under the table.
Yeah, I've got funny things under my table.
There you
So
go.
there-
You're back in the room.
I've got one of these under there. Wow. I've been playing with this, Whoa.
That's the problem.
Yes, I've been playing with it too long. Everything. So anyway, we can't put stuff along the bottom of the screen. Device is ready. Yes, thank you very much. We know that. For some unknown reason. Let's see if I can now. No, it still won't let me because it doesn't recognise that I'm an administrator. So that's I don't know why. But anyway, so if the first person on tonight would like a celebrity or a politician of their choice to blow a raspberry at, please say. You see, they would like to do that. But is a waste.
You're frozen, Chris.
fish fingers. Hang on a minute. Bear with me one moment. Right. Can you hear me now? Is everything
Yes.
good? That's right. I've got into a different studio and let's see if yes, it's all working now. That's good. It's I think it's a software problem with Rumble. And every bad workman blames his tools, but no, seriously, that is a Rumble software problem.
So that
I think
won't
we're
go
all
live on a big screen then, Chris?
sorry, you're still not on the big screen?
No.
Well, yes, you are here. It's strange. Hmm. Let's press a few more buttons. See if that is. Are you on there yet?
Not from where I'm sat, but there we go.
I'm sorry about that, but you definitely are on a big screen. But oh well, it's all working out now, and I can guarantee that if you buy one of these marvelous gadgets, they work first time
Every time.
every time. I mean, what could possibly go wrong with a piece of technology like that? I mean, bleeding marvelous, isn't it? So, yeah.
Safe and effective, Chris. Safe and
That's
effective.
right. Yes, it's going to be put in ceremoniously. It's going to have a Viking funeral. And it's going to go in the bleeding bin tomorrow. Anyway, you have your own YouTube channel. There we have. Is it the Bowler Hat Farmer on
The
YouTube?
bowler hat farmer. Yeah, indeed.
Excellent, excellent. And how many members you say you got now?
I think there's about 13,500 on there, and Facebook's got up to about 37,000 nearly.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. That's
Making
excellent.
progress, you know. So, and then we've got
Yeah.
all the other channels, obviously. So it's starting to make
Mm.
some headway. We're getting there, and a lot of interest now. Bear in mind, we finished the tour a month ago, and there's a lot of big interest starting to build up in the background of what we've been doing. So, yeah, it's coming together.
Well, what I mentioned, this is on my Telegram channel. I did mention that in France, what they're doing is the people are taking over. I've since found out it's local council empty buildings because if they're local council, they belong to everybody.
Yeah.
They're taking them over and they're putting into these buildings. People are bringing food along and items, and and there's no money involved, and they're exchanging things. So if someone is hungry, they can go in there and they can pick up a can of soup or something,
Yeah.
and they get fresh vegetables, and it's all like barter. And people that can afford to, they will buy the stuff from local farms and put it in there for the people who can't afford it. And I
Beautiful.
think that's the way forward. And my attitude towards all governments, doesn't matter which one, is ignore them out of existence.
Yeah.
Because I personally believe we need governments in much the same way as an elephant needs a hang glider. Seriously. I mean,
Yeah.
quite
What?
honestly, can you think of any time in history when government has been of any use? They're not. And it's like Larkin Rose was saying, and I got this from Survival Steve. It's a kind of how can I explain it? People have been conditioned to believe we need government. We don't, because 99% of people are fine. It's just the 1%. And I'm sure we can deal with the 1%. And part of that 1% is bleeding government.
Yeah.
You know, it's a superstition. That's what I was looking for. It is a superstition. Because did you choose to have a government? I didn't. I was born into this world and said, oh, we've got these toffs.
I definitely didn't sign for it.
But do you see that happening? More people taking things onto their own, becoming more responsible and saying, right, we're going to do this now, we're going to do that way. Because if we ran things and there's no overall leader, I think you wouldn't see poverty. I really don't think.
Yeah, it's interesting, Chris, because obviously we travelled the country for 7 months, and we were only ever met by loveliness and niceness from the general public. And it's easy to look at the country and think it's all doom and gloom, but I think the reality is of things that yes, there's obviously horrible people out there, Chris, but they must move about a lot. That's my conclusion. I don't think there's a lot of them. I think they just move about a lot. And
Yeah.
and I think one of the things we're seeing in the food industry at the minute, Chris, is that people are starting to take a lot more ownership for the food, and farmers are starting to fight back. I mean, all the farmers are on strike these in the next couple of days while the budget's going on about inheritance tax. Do I think that serves a purpose? Not really. Keeps it in the
No.
public eye, but doesn't, in my opinion, serve a purpose. But what does serve a purpose, I went to interview a guy the other day, Chris, I'll tell you quickly, guy by the name of David Wheatley. He's on social media under Petty Peonies. And he's a farmer up in Lincolnshire, and he's decided to get all his farmer mates together and get vegetables from everybody and grain and everything else, and they're selling it direct to the public. And they sold 1,000 veg boxes in one day.
Bloody hell.
1,000 veg boxes. Now, Chris, I've sold veg boxes, and when we were at the height of the pandemic, the most we ever sold in the day was 512. And we had about 20 people working night and day to pick the orders. It was unbelievable. Now, this guy's really nailed it. He's drawn the imagination of the public to want to buy directly from the farmer and to help farmers out. And the public had just got behind it. He's doing a cracking job. I say, check him out. It's Petite Peonies, a guy by the name of David Wheatley. But there's farmers all over the place starting to take ownership back. We're seeing it with the fruit and veg. We're seeing it with butchers. We're seeing it with greengrocers, and the public's perception's changing as well, Chris, of where they're now seeing to go for food, real food, fruit, veg, meat.
I agree with you. And also the amount of shit that people, we walk into a supermarket. Since I've been on this keto diet, I look at food a different way. And when you walk in the supermarket, all you've got is high sugary shit in front of you. That's all you've got. High carbohydrate, and carbohydrates make you feel lethargic. You put on weight. But what we need as humans is protein. Yes, and they can stick all their sugary shit up their jacksie, as far as I'm concerned, because it's killing people. Yeah. And my theory is the big pharma. There's two farmers involved. Big pharma is working hand in glove with the supermarkets to make us ill.
Yeah,
it's absolutely. A nice profit-making business. Where I live in a cul-de-sac, and I would say 50% of people are ill in this cul-de-sac where I live.
Yeah, probably and you ain't alone, Chris. That's everywhere. That's the same. You don't want to wonder at it. Look, it's if you go into look in a supermarket, it's either sugary, salty. It's got no nutrition. It's got processed everything in it. It's got chemicals in it. Nothing there shares any value to you, as a member of the public.
I agree.
So, we've got this. I think we've got this brilliant opportunity at the minute, Chris. Especially while we got, that benevolent, ever-giving supermarket which says every little hurts. Have decided this year that we can cancel Christmas.
Yes, it's a festive, isn't it? It's a festival.
They've removed the word Christmas from the store, and I think that's going to have a lot of a kickback on them. I really do. In the next few weeks, I think that's going to have a massive, massive traction. And the farmers are gearing up. The supermarkets are suicidal at the minute with making stupid things like that choice, and that's driving a big wedge in between the supermarkets and the public.
I'm glad that they are. I actually think that people like Keir Starmer are a gift horse in a weird way, because it's showing people what communism is really about.
Yes.
It's really, and really, in a weird way, it is a gift, because everything he touches turns to vile evil, and we can see it.
I don't know if I'd called him a gift, but I'd called him something.
An arsehole.
They called him the toolmaker's son, didn't they?
Yes, a big tool maker. But I don't think he's human, because when you look at him, he's sort of.
There's nothing there, is there?
No, that's right. And you look at Blair, he's about like that. You can sort of go. Yeah. And when he had his hair long, that was Blair. He just looked like the devil.
Yeah,
he really did. But every communist. When you look through a history of communism, the first people they go for is farmers. Every time.
Chris, followed by the second point being Christians.
Yes.
It's always the Christians what they use the food war against every time.
Soviet Union is a typical example.
China.
Yes.
Yugoslavia. Not Yugoslavia, Ukraine. Everywhere it's happened throughout history, it's always the Christian farmers who get hit first, then the Christian public. And, unfortunately, that's where we are at the moment. And I think the people are starting to wake up to what's really going on, Chris.
I agree with you. And I mean, when you look at, I won't go too much into history, but shall we say, the Russian Revolution was not a revolution by Russians. It was paid for by Wall Street, by a group of people that they were not allowed to criticise because they say you're anti-Semolina. So we're not anti-Semolina, but you just can't. So the fact of the matter is, it's the psychopath element of those group of people that we're addressing, not to the non-psychopath element who are generally okay. So that I'll sort of clear that up first of all. But the thing is that they are city folk generally, and they love ugliness. That's why they live in cities, and they don't know how country folk live. And they try and industrialize farming, which you can't do because you people have been on the land for generations, and they haven't. And this is what Stalin did. He actually sent university students out to the countryside to show farmers who had generations on the land how to farm. And look how many millions it's starved to death because of it.
11 million died. Do you know what, Chris? Stalin was so good at organising things. He paid children for every sparrow they killed because he said that the sparrows, when they saw the sparrows on the fields, and they said that they were stealing the grain. So he said, kill all the sparrows. And they killed millions and millions. And then they realised the sparrows were actually eating the bugs, which were eating the grain. And it was like, So they ended up, they killed them. And then the next year they all starved because they ain't got any sparrows to eat the flies.
Well, similar happened in Cambodia was it Pol Pot? Was he?
Pol Pot,
Pol Pot. And what they did, they emptied all the rivers of fish and they killed the fishermen because they said they're not supplying enough food for the people. And then they went out, took all the fish out. And next year there's no fish. So there's mass starvation. It's just unbelievable lunacy. I actually think these people are mentally ill. But what's annoying me is you go into a supermarket now and we're getting Brussels sprouts, which can be grown in this country, imported halfway around the world.
Yeah.
Peru and why? It doesn't make any sense. It's
Chris,
bonkers.
They want to tell you and me that carbon's an issue, and they want to tell us we've got to go for net zero, while shipping food 2/3 of the way around the fucking planet is absolute nonsense.
It is bonkers. And now, before we go any further, you have got, and I'll try and get my banners to work. Yes, they will work now. Now, I'll put it along the bottom. You've got a website which farmers can register on where you can actually get food from the farm. So far away, mate, we'll shove it in.
Yeah, Chris, foodfindershub.org. We set it up coming up for a year ago. We've been steadily building it in the background. We've been luckily enough to get a lot of people involved. There's about 400 farmers on there so far, growers, producers, butchers, bakers, whatever. People can now go on there and volunteer as well. So if they want to get involved in volunteering on the farm or
Is that right?
involved. I can't see it, but that doesn't mean anything.
Food Finders Hub, all in one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
we'll keep it there.
So people can go on in and volunteer now, Chris, to get involved in things like litter picking, because that's something which is, the microplastics into the ground. We're trying to get rid of the litter. There is a situation that they can go and leaflet drop and get involved in, like promoting the food hub. People for setting up food hubs, physical food hubs in a village, go and do deliveries, all sorts of things. They can also make a donation on there now, Chris. We've been doing fundraising and we've got an opportunity now for people to sign up to help us build the new food system for £1 a month. So a lot of people, we've got
That's
about
not
we've
that's not bad.
got about 2,000 people signed up for that so far, Chris.
£1 a month,
£1
and what
a
do you
month,
get?
and we then use that to start to build the new infrastructure for the food system we need. See, Chris, it's basically the new food system needs to, in my opinion, needs to remove the necessity for supermarkets.
I agree.
So that gives us farm shops, farmers markets, community shops, and community, come together things, food hubs, and home deliveries. Now, I would say on top of that, there could possibly be 2 more options. One which we're exploring at the minute, which is to do mobile shops, Chris, like used to be about when we were kids. Convert a bus and turn it into a bloody mini supermarket. And the other thing is farmers coming together to set up farm supermarkets. Because that's the other thing we can do.
I agree. And you had a marvellous idea where you had a food shop that was on a trailer, so you don't have to worry about building regulations.
Yes, right. And I think, Chris, that's almost where this kind of building these food vans comes into place, because we could, if you got let's say you've got something the size of a coach, Chris, and you take it, fill it out completely as a shop, you could easily go and do 10 villages in one day. You could do an hour in each one, and people get to know their community stores open from 7 till 8 or 8 till 9, 9 till 10, whatever. And I think this is about putting a new system in place. And
I agree with you.
When you look at the bullshit what goes around supermarkets and the size of their scale. And Chris, I'll tell you something. Someone pointed out to me yesterday, and I thought, Jesus, man, I hadn't thought about that. That's true. He said, supermarkets have got a huge advertising budget, right? And we can't compete against that, Chris. Farmers can't compete against that.
Yeah.
However, bear this in mind, Chris, that advertising budget is spent in television, radio, and newspapers. No one wants to watch television anymore. They're all on social media. No one buys a newspaper anymore. They rely on social media. No one watches radio and listens to radio now. It's all on social media. So I think actually, as the farmers and the running this food hub and that, we have the ability now to be able to advertise to an audience free of charge, which is something the supermarkets can't do, Chris, because the manager isn't going to walk around a supermarket with a camera on himself filming all the shit what's going on in his life, right? Because they wouldn't allow him to. We can go around a farm and, if we fall over in a bucket of mud, people laugh about it, but they get to know who we are.
I agree with you.
And they're buying into us. They're not buying into a dead-end corporation what's offering them cheap shit. And Chris, I think people are waking up to it. I really do.
I do. And also, the best advert is word of mouth.
Yeah.
I worked with fellow contract blokes who used to work all the way around the world. And there's a fella, you name the country, he'd been there, and he said he never went down with gut rot because the first thing he did, he'd never eat in the tourist hotels or the Western hotels at all. He would go down to where all the street vendors were and get on the longest queue because he knew the longest queue was the best one. And he was the only European often standing there. People said, what the bloody hell are you doing here? And things like that, very polite people. And he said, those vendors had to be good quality and scrupulously clean. With no regulations or anything like that. They were scrupulously clean. If someone went down with gut rot, people wouldn't go to them.
That's right.
And that's how it should be.
And Chris, when you look in today's modern world where what we all now work in, when you talk about word of mouth, now when you share something to your friend or family, that's your word of mouth. And word of mouth's changed, And I think that's where the supermarkets are losing control of this, Chris, because they can't control all this stuff. They don't know how to.
I agree with you. And by the way, EXO wants to come on. Now, there's a link to the studio in my Telegram channel. So I'll put that on. So EXO, if you look on my Telegram channel on Fogham Hall Radio, and it's down in the comments section below the link there, you will find a link to the studio. And anybody can come on and have a little word with you if you wish. So there we are. But what I was going to say is that I think that sometimes there's a blessing in disguise because I think farmers will earn more money selling directly to the public than they will to the supermarkets, because the supermarkets, I have heard, and I'm not accusing any particular supermarket, I can't because they've got better lawyers, that there's some supermarkets that don't pay the farmers. So they get their order of produce and they'll wait for payment and they won't get it.
Chris,
Have you
I
heard
know
of that?
hundreds of farmers under every supermarket in that position. And what they do is if they know they want to lose them as a supplier, for instance, they just stop paying them until they fall out of bed. So they don't care because they're moving on to the next farmer anyway.
Mm.
And these farmers constantly see this as get a supermarket contract. It's the be all and end all. Yes, the be all and end all of the start of your decline.
It is.
No farmers ever won out of a supermarket. Be assured.
Well, this is how a large American store, which I won't mention because they got very good lawyers, who got very big in the 1930s. My father was telling me this. And what they did when they opened up over in this country, and they've closed down in this country now, they've gone back to America. They would, and I'm just giving you as an example, they would, I think it's called the Nickel and Dime store or something like that.
Right.
That was what it's called in America, but they called it, I don't know. But anyway, doesn't matter. They would go to a small engineering works and they would order millions of screwdrivers for them to make millions of screwdrivers. Well, they'd have to get a huge loan to get tooled up to make those screwdrivers. So they think, goody, we've made it. So they get a huge loan, they produce the screwdrivers, and then they don't get paid. And they go bust, and the firm gets all those screwdrivers free of charge. And I know several firms that have done that.
And for next to nothing, they also then buy the company as well.
Correct.
Which is what they did to me.
Well. And that's what happened to a relative of mine in World War II. And he lost his business and he was conscripted into the Navy and lost his life, leaving a grieving wife and young son behind.
Imagine if the government hadn't have existed.
Precisely. Yeah. That's it. So that is the problem right the way through, the corruption. I think there's no difference between the mafia. Well, the only difference between the mafia and government is the government has got the best PR our money can pay for. The mafia hasn't got such good PR, but they are mafia.
Yeah.
The Inland Revenue is mafia. It's all mafia. Because what are we paying this money for? And when you look at the countries that were without a government for a long time, like in Poland, they went 2 years without a government when the Berlin Wall came down, and most Poles will tell you that it's the best 2 years of their lives.
Yeah.
Things happened. People opened up businesses. They didn't worry about tax and things like that. Poverty. Things started to get better quickly.
Yep.
Without bureaucracy.
Yep.
And the more I don't believe in I believe in addressing, we should all work to natural law, no injury, loss or harm. But I don't believe in driving licenses. I don't believe in a driving test. I don't believe in anything like that. Because if you're not up to driving, don't drive. You are up to driving because it's an insult to our mentality. Why are we always looked on as criminals? Everything you have to prove. You have to put this regulation in. I don't even believe in passports. Things like that. Why do we need all this crap for a psychopath mentality? We don't need it because 99% of people are okay. It's just that 1% of arseholes that we got in the world.
Absolutely.
And the thing is with farming, something's got to happen. I mean, I've noticed there's lots of empty shelves. A perfect example is fish. Now, this country is surrounded by water with plenty of fishy-wishy floating around. And you try and buy things like, what was it now? Not sardines, herrings and things like pilchards. That's it. You can't buy pilchards anywhere.
Do you know what, Chris? I had an interesting conversation. I've been working with one of the political parties to help put one of the new ones to help put an agricultural policy together. And interestingly, the challenge is that our fisheries, obviously, they've given away our waters yet again. Labour's done it yet again.
They haven't, have they?
Yeah, yeah. Since he's got into power, he's given all of it back to Europe again. and reduced our fishing lanes again. Do you know how much it cost, Chris, to put one fishing trawler back on the water? And bear in mind, we had
No.
I think it was 80,000 at one point.
Mhm.
One fishing trawler, £5 million.
Who could afford that?
Exactly. But Chris, this is where I get frustrated because DEFRA, their budget is billions and billions of pounds, right?
Mm.
Every year. But they have spent trillions over the years paying farmers not to produce food rather than paying farmers incentives to produce good quality food. They haven't incentivized them to build a polytunnel, build a greenhouse, build build their own abattoirs, build their own mills
Yeah.
again. And we need that infrastructure isn't there. And that's where the problem sits at the minute, that we've got to import so much shit because we just can't simply produce it ourselves. And, DEFRA should be the government organisation that is in the position of moving us towards the next food system, and they're just not getting involved, Chris. And we know why, because they're part of the problem. They are part of the problem.
It's Fabians.
Yeah.
Fabian Society. You see, the thing is, Fabian, when you look at the Fabian Society, it was formed in 1884, 100 years before the book 1984 was written, strangely enough. And they actually believe in bringing communism in a very slow way, in a back-to-front way. That's their belief. And majority of those in office now are Fabians.
Yeah.
And they are mental. There's something mentally wrong with those people. They live in cloud cuckoo land. And I think that things like, as I say, can't get pilchards. And when tins of pilchards do arrive on the shelf, the supermarket, they're gone within a very short time. Why can't we get pilchards? Because I think pilchards are in our waters. It's bonkers.
Yeah. Chris, the trouble is when you look at people like Fabian Society, or whether you look at what we're under at the moment with socialism, because that's what it is, communism, whatever it might be. This is all based around really the Antichrist and kind of bringing misery, pain, and ending life. If you look at the moment, Chris, they gave lots of people them jibby jabs some time back, and that made a lot of people infertile. We're going out of our way to make sure that animals are injected so they can't reproduce. Seeds messed about with so it can't reproduce. Everything's about bringing down life on the planet.
That's right. Cows can't fart. Another one to stop cows farting. Was it Boviar or whatever it is?
Bovaer, yeah, that's a scam itself. All the cows are dying, Chris, out in Denmark.
Really?
Yeah. There's been a big
thing in this country.
Denmark and Sweden, they've had loads of cows dying as a result of feeding them this bloody Bovaer.
Yeah. And we'd like to welcome back. By the way, thanks, Paul, for showing that in the chat. That's much appreciated. Thanks, mate. And people are welcome on. And we've got Chris the Gardener, we haven't heard of from a long time. Welcome, Chris. Hope things are okay now. And much appreciated for joining us. Thank you. The other thing is, I'm trying to find a list of butters to avoid that. I've got that Bovier stuff in. I did used to get Kerrygold, but I've gone off of that now. And I found a place, was it Home Bargains? They sell a Scottish butter. And it's very cheap. I don't know whether it's got it in or not.
I wouldn't trust any of them, Chris. I'll tell you, if you want to buy something like butter, buy it direct from a farmer. Don't get, if it goes through a supermarket supply chain, it's going to be full of everything you shouldn't have, 100%, whether it's Bovaer, chemicals, whatever, it'll be in there, because that's how they make it last for the shelf. What you need is just good quality freaking milk butter.
Yeah.
What's that?
You can make your own butter, can't you? There is a way. Is it out of double cream or something? You can make your own butter. There is a way of doing it.
Yeah. It's easy. It's quite simple. All you need is a whisk.
That's it. And I've seen it on YouTube, and it is very, very easy to do.
Yeah.
But welcome, Paul. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, Eric, and good evening, Mr. Bowler Hatted Farmers. Great to see you again. I really enjoyed it when you were on about a month back from your long
Good evening, sir. It's
6 or
lovely
7 month
to talk to you again.
sojourn round the Isles.
That's
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a great show there. And this is fantastic what you're talking about right now. And I just wanted to ask you, you were talking about subscribers into Food Hub.
Yeah.
I'm on that. How is this something where I want to pay you £1 a month for anything? Is there a sort of a form on that? I'll just do it.
So if you go to it, if you're on a laptop, you'll see across the top there's a button that says support us.
Yes.
And if you just click on that, there's a donation button. If you go down the donation form, you can subscribe to pay £1 a month.
Groovy. That's a whole pound, is it? That's a big, fat, massive, cuddly, thick, gorgeous British pound, is it?
And absolutely one of those gold ones with a silver bit in the middle.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Gotcha. No, that's fine. Cool. I'll be doing that. That's great.
Yeah, we've had about 2,000 people sign up, Paul, which I thought to me, and to be honest, one of the things I did was I did say the other day that this isn't just about food, because this is about food, health, and education. And I think we need to be clear that all three of those are under attack, and all three of those fit so nicely together, because good food gives you good health, and you can't get good food and understand good food or good health without good education. And unfortunately now no one's taught about food or health in school. The tripe they're teaching kids in school now is just terrifying. So I think what we're doing with the CIC is building a whole new infrastructure for the country around food, health, and education.
That's brilliant. I love it. I just think it's really simple, really direct, and absolutely vital. So hats off to you.
And just to give you an idea, guys, we've had 700 people volunteer to help us within a few weeks.
Tiger by the tail.
100 positive.
People. And I think also we need to have people like there's the peace officers, PEACE, to protect us, because when the government get their henchmen along, we just politely tell them off, basically, and always very polite and very peaceful, and because they'll get their henchmen out, because anything that's happy, anything that's creative, they try and stop.
Yes,
they are, and that's the thing. But what's your? Do you think we need government, Mark? What do you think? Do you think?
I think the trouble is that this is my opinion. I don't think government's a bad thing, right? But what I do think is the problem is that in Parliament, people get the chance to be in there for too long. So, you know how we do? We do jury service, and we get a chance to go to court, and we get a chance to serve 2 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever the hell, however long the case goes on. I think we should actually have something like that for Parliament, where you're selected from your local area to go into Parliament, and you're there for, let's say, 8 weeks. And after 8 weeks, you go home and someone else is selected to go. Because that way it would take away the bloody corruption, because the corruption's the issue.
That's an interesting point. Oh, by the way, Gristle, it says, what's the website we can support? Well, if you look along the bottom here, you can see it. It's foodfindershub.org. And I put it along the bottom, you see. So first thing to do is go to Specsavers, then come back. No, but there it is. I'll put it along the bottom there, foodfindershub.org. So that's just to rub it in. And of course, if anybody wants to speak to Mark, the Bowler Hat Farmer, in the second half, the link is actually in my Telegram, on my Telegram channel. So if you're on Telegram, tough tits. Sorry.
Chris, just on one thing you said Chris the Gardener's in the audience tonight.
Yes, Chris the Gardener.
Big love to Chris the Gardener, because I haven't spoken to
likewise.
Chris, and it'd be really lovely to to chat with Chris at some point. So he's a good lad. He
is good, and I haven't heard from him for a little while. But he's had it. Let's put it this way: he's been through the rapids. He's had it tough. So let's all have some positive thoughts.
Big love to you, Chris. Big love.
You'll be all right, mate. Yeah. Let's put it this way: those that have been through the rapids of life and come out the other side, come out a lot wiser and stronger. So there we go. Now, Warren Ap Arthur said Parliament serves only the Rothschilds' debt-based money system. So this is part of what I was going to. And I wonder if I'm going to get. I wonder if I'm going to explain this before Paul gets there, because I think he's on the same chat. Do away with usury first of all. Usury
and some kind of a. Don't you think maybe some kind of an exam or a test or a screening for the people that want to become politicians, and also those that want to cast votes? I'm quite serious, actually. You know, there's I was looking up psychopathic traits the other day, and of course, when you say psychopath, you immediately think about, murderers and things like this, don't you? And you're right to think about that, of course, because that's the way it's been sold. I'm not trying to spin it into a positive. It's a dangerous condition. But there are pieces of equipment, machinery that can test people to see whether they've got it or not. Yeah. And it strikes me that it might be really sensible to have something like that. We are actually governed by people. I've been saying it for a long time. You cast it off, don't you, as an insult? You go, well, they're mentally ill, but they are. I don't mean it as an insult. We're not trying to sort of run them down.
No.
Many of them literally are mentally unstable individuals, and you have to look at their background. So why is it that if they are supposedly in charge of the main power centers of the nation, of course they're not, the bankers are, but let's just take one thing at once. Why should they not sit an exam? And why should everybody have the vote without sitting an exam? I mean, if you don't know anything about the history of this nation or anything like that, there should be a basic sort of test. You have to take a test to drive a car. Why aren't you supposed to take a test to cast a vote if it's that important? Well, I know I sound like a fascist, don't I? But you see, if you were running a company, I know what you said, Mark, about them being in too long. I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say that they should be in for life. Reverse it round the other way, right? No, seriously, they cock it up, right? You don't let them out. That's the thing. You make them do the job because all that happens is it's just a merry-go-round. One comes in and cocks it up for 5 years. Everybody goes, oh, the other side's going to solve it. Has that ever happened?
No, but then even when we've had time where the same ones have been in time for a long period of time, it's made no difference either.
I agree. I'm just teasing a bit. I don't really mean that they should be in for life. I'm just saying it's just to try and think of it in a different way because...
Well, I think you're probably right, Paul. They should be in for life, but probably not in Parliament.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's a place where they need... But I mean, why can't you? There's a guy called James Fallon, and I'm going to be talking about him on Thursday, in part, I think. And he has got psychopathic traits. But he's lived a really decent life, and he's done a whole study on psychopaths and what it's all about. And you could say that many people have got a sort of slightly psychopathic part to your personality. We all do. When you get determined and self-centered, and we've all been through that, right? You could say, well, if you keep amplifying that, it's going to get really bad. This is true. But we also have another side, the empathetic side, which is like a bit of moral restraint. And we go, whoa, hang on, this is wrong. Right? This is what you're looking for. It's difficult being a human being, particularly surrounded by lots of other human beings who are also finding it quite difficult. But if they're going to wield all this power, supposedly, why are they not tested? And why are not those test results made available to the electorate? You go, well, Bob Smith, it turns out, is a complete nutcase. You can't have him anywhere near this stuff. We've done this electronic scan. He's done the questionnaire. These are his results. He's basically borderline psychopath. You can't have him in. Why would you allow that?
Yeah, but you can tell a psychopath by a scan because their frontal lobe is blank.
That's right. This is what this guy Fallon's talking about. He came up with these scans. He was sort of part of that process. I guess many people have seen them.
Oh, hang on. Is he a scientist? I think he's a scientist.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Very nice character.
Yeah, he is. He's done a lot of really good stuff, you know, and he's gone through and self-analyzed, and he realizes he's got certain psychopathic traits, and it's often prominent in people that are highly intelligent, or it comes across in that way, and they get bored with everybody else, so they wind them up. I bet you've done that when you're around a bunch of thickos. And of course, that's a terrible thing for me to say, but you know what I mean, don't you?
Easily done,
Everybody's
isn't it?
got a group that's. If you, I could put you, we could all go into certain social situations in a room, and there'll be a group in one corner that's their conversations beyond any of us, right? I'm not going up there. These guys are too sharp, right? And there's another that are just grunting. And you sometimes just do these silly things. I'm just talking about human nature. But here we are. We've got these people in Parliament. Like I've said, I'm actually glad of Parliament because it's identified 600 plus odd borderline sociopaths, psychopaths, and therefore you don't want to spend any time with them. The problem is that they've been given this power and they wreck it permanently. That's why democracy was instituted, so that the real controllers can get muppets out front to do the acting, and all the crowd go, I'm voting for the red party this time because the blue one was so bad. I mean, good grief. It never improves things. I think what you're doing as well, Mark, is the right thing. We just go direct to the market. It's the same sort of like with priesthoods. They go, oh, you've got to go through me to understand the Bible. Bugger off. I'll read it myself, right? And it's the same thing. Oh, you've got to go through all our regulatory bodies. No, we don't actually. We're just going to, what you're doing is we just go direct, straight to the people, speak to them. You want to do this? Great. You live in a free country. Oh, you don't now. No, we do. It's kind of developing our narrative. We keep shouting it more. We shout it with more conviction. They'll back off. I mean, I know it seems a bit primal, but I do think that's part of it.
I don't think it's primal at all. I think the challenge we've ended up with, Paul, is that we've, in this country, especially in Western civilization, I'm going to say Western civilization, not just this country, has become woke and weak. And unfortunately, we're going to have to get to the point where the men stand up. And I think what will happen is if the men don't stand up, we'll end up with the same situation we had when the Romans were kicked out of England and it was the Iceni women who dealt with it. And I think that's where we're getting to, that the minute women realise this country isn't safe for their children, the women will be the ones who deal with it if the men don't step up.
Well,
if they get behind the men, it'll happen. Yeah. I think, this is part of this thing as well, which is this breakdown of relations between males and females, which has been going on particularly for the last 100 years, ever since the 1920s, really. This destruction of the family unit, this globalist thing, it's long and seasoned. So everything that we've built, or that our guys, and our gals have built, which is a lot, right? I mean, really, we just take it for granted, but it's a lot of stuff. Other people are kind of clueless in comparison. It sounds awfully cocky, but it's true. We've talked about this all the time. You go and look, there's something like 90% of everything ever invented comes out of these islands. 90% of everything comes out of you go, what? What's that all about? I couldn't tell you. All I know is that it's true because it's on the historical record. Yeah. So there's this sort of yearning that we've got continually to keep asking questions. It's in our nature to do that and to keep pushing it. And we're in this situation where a bureaucratic, psychopathic system has been slowly grown right in the center of all the power centers here and has taken them over. And so there is no such thing as woke. There's just a brainwashing exercise, and a lot of people are suckers and they've fallen for it, but we haven't. And we actually are in the majority. It's just that most of them are still staying a bit too silent. We're part of that rabble-rousing process. And if you do it around food, because after people have shouted a bit, they get hungry, don't they? They got to eat.
Sorry, mate. Carry on.
All I was going to say is creed, colour, religion don't come into it. We all get hungry.
Yeah,
and it's the quickest thing to unite the public.
Yeah, and all they'll be able, and I bet you there won't be any shortage of shit to buy, but decent, good food you won't be able to get that. And by the way, Paul, I won't display this message on the screen like this, you see, if you pay me 10 FOC bobs within about 5 minutes. Oh, I'll put it on the screen now.
Oh, no, I'll tell you
I've missed Paul's voice. Can't believe he stood me up last week.
I'll tell you what, Alice, and everybody else, I had a really good time, by the way, on Thursday, and I don't want to talk about it all now, but it'll be just on this Thursday. But I put up this little video to just let everybody know that I was going off for a Beano and having a bit of a fun time. I went out 3 times last week. I had a social life last week. I was shocked. I even got invited to go out for a 4th time on Saturday, and I went, I can't. This is reckless. I felt guilty. I can't keep going out and having fun. It was nuts. But I put this little video up. I got more comments on the video about me not doing a show than I normally get when I do a show. It's really funny. It's really funny. And they're really sarky comments. They're very good. There's a wonderful one from Aunt Sally, which I'll say for Thursday. It's absolutely brilliant. And I just went, oh, right, I'm going to have to not do shows more frequently because people get so cross. They write in.
Yeah, it's really good that. But we got some interesting questions. Well, first of all, I think a friend of yours, Mark, is opened up a farm near Manchester.
Yeah,
And,
Steve.
was it Oak Farm, Matley Lane,
Yeah,
Staley Bridge.
yeah.
So
So
it's called, was it Milko Milky something? Was it Milko?
yeah, Milky Moo or something. He's
Milko Milky Ellis.
they
Like-
set up to do raw milk. Now, you know, lots of people will tell you raw milk's a bad thing. Now, just to give you a bit of a background on milk, during the Victorian times, when the city started to grow, they realised that they couldn't get the milk from the farm to the city quick enough without it going off. So what they did was said, we've got this great revolutionary idea, we'll bring the cows to the city. Well, the problem was that they then hadn't got any grass to feed them on. So in their wisdom, they fed them on brewery waste and bakery waste, which of course made the cows ill. So the milk got infected. And then they said that raw milk couldn't be trusted. So they then came out with pasteurisation. Well, pasteurisation then had its place. I don't believe now it has if milk is served directly to the public quick enough. We only drink more raw milk. We don't drink any shit from supermarkets, and we never get ill, you know. And this is down, if you want good quality milk now, milk's full of enzymes, which are really good for building your stomach, your gut bacteria, you're building your fats in your brain so you can think. And unfortunately, all that is stripped out. When you get pasteurised, semi-skimmed, red top, green top milk, it's just white water. You know, there's no goodness in it at all. And what we all really need is, you know, 2 or 3 pints of good, thick, fat in milk each day and half a pound of butter. That's what we really need. And 2 pork chops and a steak. And then you'll be well away. And so what we've been doing is helping to push the raw milk market out. And Stephen, who we were just talking about, his farm there, he is up near Manchester direction, on the right of Manchester, I think. He was with Arla, and Arla dropped his milk prices 1/3 in 1 week.
Bloody hell.
So he's now getting
Bastards.
24 pence a litre. Well, he's not now because he's finished with them this week, but he was getting 24 pence a litre. He can sell it direct to the public, raw milk, good quality, thick A2 Jersey milk for £2.50 a litre.
Not bad, not bad.
That's this guy in Manchester, yeah?
Yeah, he's literally just kicked off today.
And
it's worth coming up for
Good
that.
luck.
We've got one near us. It's a bit more expensive than that, but it does vary a bit. But look, as Food Finders Hub connects up more and more, you'll develop this
That's
proper
right.
secondary, soon to become primary marketplace for all this stuff.
Well,
I just love it. I love it.
Mark, I think it was Mark Anthony, I think it was, asked Bowl Rat Farmer about the benefits of drinking raw milk. Well, I think you've almost answered it, really, but I thought I'd better...
Look, that's fucking... That's what you get from fucking having... And it gives you the ump in the morning. You know, gets you up. That's the speech.
Yes, something cropped up. Yes, that's it.
You know?
But I think also the problems with this oat milk, if you look on the side of the packet, it's got tractor lubricant in it, and it's got rapeseed oil, sunflower oil, and Christ knows what else oil in it, and it's not
Chris,
good.
when you actually look, like, let's just backtrack a little bit to something we were saying earlier. So Arla came out with a bright idea that they would feed the cows Bovaer, and Bovaer is a substance what they put in as a feed mixture to stop them farting and burping so much methane, which is a nonsense anyway, right? It then made the cows really ill, and the cows started dying. So they thought, oh, we better backtrack because people are giving us so much grief about it. Now, that Arla and Muller do not care one hiatus if the public buys milk or not, right? If the cows die, they don't care because they will. If the cow's dying, you can't buy no milk. Allah and Mullah will sell you coconut milk, oat milk, fucking all the other crap milks which they now produce. All your body needs is some good, nutritionally dense fats from milk.
Because, with this pasteurization, I was told, I don't know how true it is, so I haven't looked into it thoroughly, that if you put milk, even raw milk, with tea, hot tea, the hot tea will pasteurize it.
It will.
And my father, I remember him saying, I remember in the 30s when they had this big TB outbreak and they had to, homogenize the milk. And that's what the government said. It's just bullshit.
And I'll tell you what, that one's bubbling in the background at the minute. For those who don't know, we're about to have a big outbreak of something. In the next 48 hours, you watch it be announced. We're going to have a huge outbreak of either TB, bird flu, or blue tongue. And I mean a big one, a big outbreak. And they're all bought BS, they're all bought and paid for by the drug companies. They're all mythical things like dragons, all these diseases. In fact, I'd say you've got more chance of finding the dragon than you have bird flu.
Yeah. Well, how comes we never had bird flu in the Victorian times or even, in the 60s and 70s and things like
because
that?
Because it's a condition they hadn't invented yet.
That's right. Bill Gates wasn't alive to invent it.
Yeah.
These are just invented bogus conditions. It's all complete crap, the whole lot. But
100%.
We shouldn't be surprised, should we? We're not surprised. We're still slightly irritated by it. But it's, we should not be surprised because we're being governed by sociopathic, psychopathic, corrupted individuals. They may have been good when they were 4 or 5 years of age. I don't know. You can't imagine that people are born sort of clinically nuts. I know probably a minute percentage are. But this is a system that breeds them. Once they go into that and they go into the power world through behavioral conditioning at university and daddy's money pockets and all this kind of stuff, we end up with a group of people who absolutely are unshakable in their conviction that they are going to remain in charge, and they would rather be in charge of a toilet than have everybody live in palaces.
Yeah,
if they couldn't be in charge. So I think that's the ground. The ground rule is, even if we come up with all these technical solutions and we work well as people, we are going to have to find a way of dealing with these groups. I don't know quite what it is yet because they've plagued the planet for millennia, right? I don't know quite how you deal with it. But I think in their mind, there is no future at all that does not include them being in charge. And they would rather blow the world up than not be in charge.
Yeah.
And I think these are all symptoms of it, what you're talking about, all these bogus conditions and everything, the fact that people would even listen to Bill Gates about anything at all. This is a piece of software basically that's built on putting bugs in it so you have to keep paying for upgrades. He's been doing that for 30 years. The guy is he's not a cretin. He's highly sharp, but he hasn't got an ounce of wisdom anywhere in his body because he's completely warped away from an empathetic or a decent consideration for the well-being of his fellow human beings. Actually, we're not his fellow human beings. He's gone off down some sort of weird route, and he's not alone, unfortunately. They're in a big sort of gang of sort of nutters, really dead on the inside. There's something tragic about it.
Just the World
Economic Forum.
Yeah. Krista Gardner's just said they don't they test for bird flu with PCR? I think they do, don't they?
Yeah, and that's complete BS. Do you know what? There's a brilliant vet by the name of Roger Meacock, who's a holistic vet, and he wrote a white paper which was approved by the Veterinary Association, right? And it states that PCR tests are not worth the paper they're written on. It completely pulls to bits PCR testing in any form or another within the animal industry. And the Veterinary Association passed the paper saying it's one of the best papers ever written. And yet DEFRA and the Environment Agency and environmental health vets are still going out on a daily basis using them to close farms down. How?
Well, the thing is, I mean, we had an outbreak of foot and mouth disease in 1967 when my uncle owned a butcher's shop. Poor sod. Owned a butcher's shop. About a month later, they had a foot and mouth disease. So they said outbreak. But the last one, which was it 2001? Was it, or 2000? What was happening there was horrendous. because they were destroying cattle that didn't need to be destroyed. And I heard an elderly lady speaking one night on a phone-in program on the radio, and she said that Victorian farmers knew exactly how to deal with foot and mouth, and it was easy. And they had actually put the infected cattle in a barn full of onions. And
Yes,
the
right.
onions would soak up or do something to cure it, and that was
no,
it.
It's no different than you putting a raw onion. If you want to get an infection out of your body, cut an onion in half and strap it to the bottom of your feet.
Yeah,
and that will all the impurities and all the infections out of your body.
That's right. Marvelous.
And that's what they do. That's what the farmers used to do. Like you say, just smash up loads of onions in a barn and stick the cows in there with them for the weekend.
Yeah. And that's what the Victorian farmers and Edwardian farmers used to do, apparently.
Yeah.
And it's just, but I think also, I mean, the thing that gets me is chickens as well. People are buying chickens for a very small amount, and they're full of growth hormones. And no wonder that men are developing breasts and women becoming masculine. Why? Because they're eating bloody growth hormones. Now, I can't afford. I mean, the organic chickens are through the roof with price. You're talking about £30 or £20 for a chicken. But I go to a place where there are not.
You've clearly only ever had cheap birds in your life, Chris.
I don't. No, I don't have cheap birds. No. And but actually, I go to a place where they can't say they're organic, but they are.
Yeah,
I get them for about a tenner. And also, I got some eggs from this place, and I brought some for my neighbour. My neighbour said, "Oh, the shells are so hard; they can't open them." I said, "Yes, it's because they're organic. That's how they should be. You get an egg from a supermarket, and even if it's organic, it'd be as thin could be. That's the thing."
Do you know, I've got a friend who runs a big chicken farm, and they have a thing called yolk bright. So, you know, if you get a really good quality organic egg and you crack it and it's orange,
Yeah.
that's because it's been roaming around the fields and it's got all the goodness it needs, and it's got the salts into its body, what it needs from, the minerals and they realised that. So a few years ago, they bought out a thing called Yolk Bright, which is just what they add to their feed. And now even the worst shit eggs in the world have this ability to look beautiful with hard shells because of Yolk Bright. And it's another play which they put into our food supply to convince us that we're buying good quality food. People genuinely have no idea. I say to people, look, if you don't go to a farmer to buy your food, you are being lied to. It's as simple as that. Nobody knows anything about it. If you go to a supermarket, not one person in that building has ever seen that food outside of that supermarket. If I go to a farm and I say, listen, I want to cut a cauliflower, they say, fields over there, I want a chicken. They're over there marking that field. How many do you want me to do? And we come to a price and agree. And this is what we need. We need people to go backwards to understand where the food actually comes from, Chris.
I 100% agree with you there. And Exo has said, was it, okay, Eric, here's my question. I'm up in the Penny Hebden Bridge area. Poor sod, are you really? And
it's great, is Hebden Bridge. Eric, you'd love it. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah, it's great.
I'm only joking. And we have a great co-op doing to your door organic veg box offerings.
Lovely.
Been going for years, but despite what we hear about, that's excellent. That's excellent. That's nice. And Aunt Sally, who's either in the bath, getting in the bath, or just got out of the bath. So can we have an update of your bathing where you are now, Aunt Sally? An organic chicken is worth its weight if you turn this stripped carcass into chicken broth.
Yeah.
You get at least 3 litres of nutrient-rich broth. That's right. That's why they open brothels, isn't it? Because people could drink the broth there.
Aunt Sally will have to do a video. Do a video. You don't have to appear. Just your hands could be on there if you can get out of the bath, showing how to do that. That would be just great.
Yes.
Unless she's got the chicken bones in the bath with her and she's bathing in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why all the dogs will come up and lick her shins. It'll be all very tasty.
a filthy joke was just on my. No, I won't.
Really, Eric, a filthy joke on your lips? I'm shocked. I've never heard such a thing. Thankfully,
I literally can't say it on this channel.
It sounds more like OnlyFans, to be honest.
Yes. Was it? Hereditary Skeptical says, "I am the Eggman." Yes, yes. But the thing is that hang on. Alcto says, "Oi, my question." I just read your question out, didn't we? All right. Oh, hang on. I got it. What is the markup on organic veg? Sorry, I missed that, Exo. So what is the markup on organic veg? That's what he wants to know.
Very well. Okay, let's clarify firstly what we mean by organic veg. Are we talking about organic or chemical free? Because to be under organic status, it's certified by the Soil Association, which a farmer has to pay £500 a year to be a member. And once you've paid your £500, they'll certify you to be organic. Lots of farmers don't even get tested to say that they're organic. They just pay the £500. And on top of that, they're still allowed to use 6 chemicals. So I asked the question again, what is organic veg worth? I don't know. I don't sell organic veg. I sell chemical-free veg because the farmers we have, I visit, I know they don't use any chemicals, and they don't use any chemicals, let alone the 6 which are approved by the Soil Association. So, and here's another thing I'll tell you. When a friend of mine said to me one day, he said, "Oh, Mark," he said, "you don't have the veg I want this time of year." He said, "So I'm going to go into Waitrose and get some organic veg." And I said, "Oh, no problem. Do me a favour. This is what I've got available this week. Will you do me a favour and buy those things? And we'll come and test them with a nitrate tester." And 9 out of the 10 vegetables from Waitrose, organic range, had more nitrates in than normal vegetables off a normal farm. Why is that? Well, and the reason that is, guys, is because most of our organic vegetables in this country, in supermarkets, not off of farms, in supermarkets, comes from China. And we know how we can rely on China for being chemical free.
That doesn't surprise me. That is, I've certainly.
Now, don't get me wrong. If you've got a farmer what grows really good quality veg, direct on the farm, and you can go to the farm and buy it. Buy that every time.
Yes, this is the thing. The trouble is they're building on our farmland. I mean, where I live, they're building like it's going out of fashion, and there's just one. There's only just one farm hanging on.
Chris,
I was hoping they'll come on the show tonight, but they haven't.
I'll tell you what one of the problems is, guys, with the situation we have at the minute of food. So, because the quality of farming and the quality of the soil is so poor, we need 80% of our farmland to produce 20% of our food, because that's where we are, okay? Where if we had really dense nutritional soil, which would grow absolute abundance of food, we would use 20% of our land to grow 80% of our food. And that's that swap round we need. We need farmers to step into changing the soil back to being really good chemical-free soil and building lots of organic nutrition into it. And unless farmers do that, food supply is going to get worse and worse.
And I witnessed that when I came to your place in Suffolk. Was it last year, was it?
Yeah.
It was last year. And saw what you was doing with this, what do they call it?
Electroculture.
Electroculture. It really was opened my eyes. And also, this is hotline news now. Aunt Sally is not in the bath. My godfathers, what are we going to do? My words. And Aunt Sally says, I can send you a link on how to make the broth. It's piss easy. We don't do that, do you? She makes nice cakes as well. Then you use the broth to cook things like lentils, porridge, rice, and anything that uses liquid. That's nice. Yes. Now, Exo has said, are you saying more classic nitrate fertilizers are used on organic farms? I think you did say that. Yes.
Not all.
In China.
All organic farms. And not so much in this country, but certainly the stuff what's coming in from overseas. And I say, with the supermarkets that 90% of all organic supply goes into them is from China. Think about that. China.
And be careful where you buy your garlic, because when you look on the label, if it's from China, I don't touch it.
No.
And the other thing is, am I right in saying, Mark, that in 1980 we were 80% self-sufficient in this country, and that's gone down to about 30% now, is it?
Yeah,
I
we're
think?
28% at the
1980.
minute. The government will tell you it's 60%, and because they haven't updated the website for 4 years because of Darren. Chris, we lost 13,000 farmers in the last 24 months.
13,000.
13,000 farmers have given up. They've just gone, I can't do this anymore. There's no money in it. Inheritance tax problems looming. Let's face it, budget when? Tomorrow, is it? Budget Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We've got that to deal with, and all of the farmers have had enough. Now, the reason farmers have had enough, and again, here sits the problem inside the situation we have. Farmers can't earn any money farming in the manner they are farming. So most of them are just going, in that case, I'm going to give up. Just change how you farm and what you farm. You know, farmers are growing 100 acres of wheat, 100 acres of barley, 100 acres of oats, 100 acres of sugar beet, and they say, oh, any of those four things don't earn me any money. Well, don't grow them. Or grow, you know, I was with David Wheatley, who I spoke about at the beginning of the show. David Wheatley got 100 acres of wheat and sold it all to the public. He got a barn full of grain and sold it to the public. And he sold it for 25 pence a. So it made a bag of chicken food, what would come to £40 out of a farm shop, you know, for your chickens. He made it come to £6, and he said, and that's still doubling my money. What I get for meal.
Yeah.
So this is what farmers need to understand. Farmers are scared that they can't stand up without the system. The people are desperate to support farmers.
Yes.
So how do you support someone who grows 100 ton of wheat with the best will in the world? Not many people want it. You know, if you go to a farmer and he's got 200,000 ton of sugar beet, what can you do? Nothing. What we've got to do is the farmers need to bring to the table growing meat, vegetables, dairy, eggs, and then the people can buy that produce.
I mean, is this sort of like a gap, Mark, that Food Hub is going to fill? I mean, it seems to me like that there's a role for everybody to play. Me as a consumer, like I know some farms around here, they might not even be aware of Food Hub yet. This is the connection meeting point, right? It's not social networking, it's food networking. That's what we need.
Absolutely.
Right? The food network.
That's it.
I mean, is there a little business card? Sorry, Eric. I was just going to ask Mark.
No,
is there a little sort of
on.
business card or like a sales card that I could get tons of with the URL on? I'll make my own if I need to, and start giving them into these farm shops so that they've got something to remember it by, and they sign up and they become part of this distributed network.
Yeah, Paul. So the situation is within the next few days, I'm hoping this week, we've got a download section on the website, which will give people the ability to download all the leaflets to advertise it, so they can print them off just one at a time and take them to their farm shop or butcher, bake, or whatever. We've also had hundreds of different memes designed that people can put on social media to drive traffic to it. Some which they can just download it and ping it to their mate who's a farmer, and it says, you know, join this platform and, you know, sell your produce direct to the public. And others what are advertising to the public to tell them about the farmers.
Right.
This is in my opinion, because this is all sitting inside a community interest company, like a mini charity type thing. That sits in between a charity and a company, the CIC. It's all sitting within a CIC. This isn't my own company. This isn't me. I might be the front man, but it's inside a CIC. It's deliberately designed so that the profits go back into building a new system. And that system needs to be controlled by us, the farmers and the public, not the supermarkets. We've got to eliminate corporations.
I agree with you there. And now, Gristle, by the way, I've got an apology to make, Gristle. Earlier, you asked for the website, and I didn't realise that you was listening on Soapbox Radio. So please accept my apology. As I said, go to Specsavers. And of course, your website is advertised at the bottom. So please accept my apology, Gristle. How organic is King Sausage Fingers Duchy of Cornwall range?
I've got to be honest, I don't know. What I do know is that anything to do with the duchy, anything to do with the monarchy, and anything to do with the crown, it's probably about as reliable as a government. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, let's face it.
I can't believe it. I can't believe what you've said, Mark. You're against the king?
Well, he's not our king. He's a Norman
Not my king.
imposed.
I thought he was a bit of a. He looks a bit wan, doesn't he? He's a bit of a wan king, really.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, I would say that. By the way, where in Suffolk is the Bowler Hat Farmer? I don't think you're there anymore, are you?
Well, no, I'm not actually. Actually, I'm in Essex at the moment. Well, obviously, we had to leave our farm in Suffolk when my uncle died, sadly, in January. And we are now staying in a beautiful little cottage, which has been kindly donated to us for a time frame by a lovely lady we met on our tour, who is just concerned about the food supply and gave us the opportunity to come and be here while we put the food system together, while we were not earning any money. So we were blessed by meeting some beautiful people on this journey.
Ah, that's brilliant. I was going to say, what part? And you would just probably reply, all of me. I was going to say, what part?
I'm just over the back end of Sudbury at present.
Ah, yes, the posh bit.
Yeah, nice. And it is.
Yeah. Actually, people think that Suffolk is. It isn't. Norfolk's flat, but Suffolk is rather undulating, isn't it? It's a bit like Devon in many places.
Yeah, where we are actually, it's quite undulating. Yes.
Now, Ed Viro said, do the farmers own the land they work on, or is it owned by the psychopaths? I think that's a $64,000 question, isn't it?
Well, okay. So what we have is we have tenant farmers, and they might be tenanted to a council farm, which is obviously all psychopaths. It might be a huge landowner, like, say, the duchy, or one of the lords or ladies, so that could possibly be psychopaths. We've then got landowners, which are what I'm going to call like the family farms, which actually own their land. And, so within this, the biggest percentage of farmers are sitting on tenanted land.
Yes.
And that's the scary thing. And I'll tell you for why. So just give you an idea about this. If you take 10 years ago, you used to be able to rent an acre of land for probably £50, £60 a year. Right? So a farmer would rent that land out. If he wasn't using that field, he'd rent it out to someone to keep their pigs on or horses on or something, £50 a year. You can now put solar panels on a field. 1 acre will earn you £1,500 a year. So can you understand why farmers are getting rid of the tenants? The landowners are getting rid of the tenants and putting big waves of sunbursting equipment in? Because if you put a solar farm in on 10,000 acres of your land and it earns you £1.5 million a year, or is it 15 million a year? I'm not very good with decimal points, but it's still a lot of money, right?
It's a lot of money, but
right.
The thing is,
and that's where the problem now sits, that the land's too valuable. And then you've also got the other side, that people like British Airways are buying up land left, right, and centre in a minute to plant trees on to offset their carbon.
Oh my godfathers! It's just it's just bonkers. By the way,
it's just war. It's war. It's not bonkers, is it? This is the way that they've decided to wage war on us. Instead of blokes all getting dressed up and shooting each other and blowing each other to bits, this is much more devastating. Well, I mean, even if we go back in the last century, look at what they did with the Holodomor in the Ukraine, right? I mean, starvation has been used. You mentioned it earlier. I think the first half hour has been used as a weapon of war. That's what this is. We've still got chance to begin to get into the situation here with Food Hub. We really have. We've got a massive opportunity
to
create a real defense system against it. That's really what we have to do.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, through the CIC, we've also been asked, and one of the biggest things we're getting asked about is to get involved in creating and building community food hubs and community farms. And I see that they're really important, because the community wants to produce food, and these community farms work on a slightly different system, so they don't work like a commercial farm. Commercial farm, the farmer takes 100% of the food and sells it to get paid to feed himself. How the community farms work is the first requirement of food goes to feed the staff on the farm. The second lot of food goes to feed the local community, what can't feed themselves, and anything what's left gets sold. That turns our capitalism of farming upside down. And it eradicates then the requirement for big farmers.
Yes. That's right.
And it's the quickest way to bring the price of food down. Put community farms in place.
Well, the way they
and I don't
used
mean
to plan,
community as in governmental. I mean community as in the village.
I agree with that. Well, the way they used to plan housing estates, they used to have housing estates up until the 20s, and they'd plan that they're going to have farms that will supply the food to this housing estate. That's
100%.
how it has worked out, and that's how it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a place called Bridget's Farm. I think it's in Chewing, in Hertfordshire, and they're very, very good. And you drive up this lane, and you're in the middle of nowhere, and then you get some buildings, and you go into a really traditional butcher's shop. Absolutely, and this fella, what he doesn't know about butchering is not worth knowing. Absolutely brilliant, and it's interesting. It brought me back to my childhood because you go into a supermarket, you see everything all in plastic, and the bloke says, "Oh, what do you want? You want this? Okay, bang, bash, 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 bang," and he does it, And I'm not sure. I think they're the same. It's organic, although they can't say it's organic, but it is organic. That's good food, and it's not that expensive. It really isn't, because you eat less because we need protein.
That's got to be the key thing in all of this, Chris, is understanding the value of food. And as we roll forward, people put a value on food as in monetary value. But, if you buy poor quality food and then have to buy vitamins to top it up with, and then you have to buy drugs because it's made you ill, it's nonsense. I'm 57. I haven't been to the doctor since I was about 11. I always eat good quality food. I've been blessed by the fact that I could be homeless and still want to eat good food, right? In fact, we have been. That's why we're now where we are. But for me, good quality food is my issue, because for me, I want to make sure I'm healthy, because we all know there's a war coming. However that war plans out, I don't want to be in a weak position that I can't fight that war.
Yes. I agree with you, because the thing is, I mean, Matilda has said, I'm near Jimmy's farm, Suffolk. Jimmy's farm? What's that? Does he do riddles or something? Or, who's Jimmy?
That's Jamie Oliver's best mate.
Oh, is it? Oh, I didn't know who he was. Now, it's just...
He's now got tigers and things on his farm.
Here in Shropshire, so much countryside, and all you see is barley, wheat, rapeseed fields in the summer. Yes. And what is it? And now, Chris the Gardener, please put your fingers in your ears and go blah, 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 for the next few moments. Eco says Norfolk is boring. Fair enough. Right. Now
it's quite close to flooding.
Yes,
it's very cold in the winter.
There's a lot of space in between. Just past Yarmouth as you go past Caister, Hemsby, Winterton, Sea Pooling. All the sea defences have all gone, and the government haven't done anything about it, so it's all starting to flood.
Yes. All right. Evening, Patrick.
Hey.
Patrick's a farmer as well, from Wisconsin,
or
a province of Fockham, of course.
Yes.
He is the ambassador for cheese and the last Zulu outpost of Wisconsin. So, good evening, Patrick. Oh, sorry, good afternoon, Patrick. It's afternoon where you are.
Yeah, good evening to you. Yeah, it's afternoon here.
And what I was going to say, sorry, carry on, Patrick.
I was just going to ask you, how do you sign up for your Food Finders Hub, and would you consider international postings?
Patrick, 100%, absolutely. So if you go to foodfindershub.org, you'll see there's a vendor sign up page. You go through, it's all free of charge. You just register yourself, whatever country you're in. It's designed to go worldwide. And there's, you can promote it to your local fellow farmers and customers, and they can all use it absolutely free of charge.
Nice. because I know a
Brilliant.
lot of people here in Wisconsin that could use a similar type of thing, and I'd be willing to talk about it as much as I can. Yeah, I think it
Knock
would be a
yourself out,
great
my
way to
friend. This
do
is
it.
not.
Oh,
This is
brilliant.
this is not nothing to do with Yes, I've come up with the idea, but it isn't mine. This is for the. It's going to say this is for the people, but this is really for the underground movement of people who want good quality food to survive, to get involved and build this with us.
Nice. Yeah.
Also, up about 150 years ago, before about 150 years ago, people would only eat one meal a day. And if they were at two, they was considered a gannet.
Yep.
And it was the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers that introduced this idea, and people like, I won't mention
Kellogg's.
their names, yeah, and them as well, that's made it known that, we've got to eat, because as humans, we're not supposed to eat wheat. It's not very good for us. And they made it that we eat 3 meals a day. Why? Because they make more money.
Yeah.
But really, as humans, we're hunter-gatherers. We're not designed to keep grazing. Animals graze,
Yeah.
cows graze, but we've only got one stomach. Cows have got several stomachs. So they can graze. We can't graze. And this idea of eating food all day, that's what's making people very, very ill.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was going to say is what they did, I think, in Italy, and that is there's a cafe, and people would go into this cafe and they buy, let's talk in pounds, shall we? No, it's not lira anymore, it's euros. All right, let's say euros. And they'd buy a cup of coffee for, say, 10 euros. And if they're comfortably off, they would pay 20 euros. And then the owner of the cafe would put £10 or 10 euros on the slate, and it would be like a ticket that they put on the wall. And if somebody was down on their luck and they desperately needed a cup of coffee, they could get that ticket, they give it over, and they'll get a free cup of coffee. And it's already been paid for by a secret donator. And as I say, there's a way of giving, and it still respects.
It's a cool idea. I love that. I love that.
And I've suggested this to somebody I know that runs a shop, and they and I think it would work. I like the idea because, if you've had a good day and you think, made a bit of money today, I think I'll help some poor sod out. I'll pay double for the amount.
Chris, it's interesting you say about that. There's a company that I work alongside called Organity.co.uk, and they deliver around the London area and up into the Midlands organic food parcels. And that on their website, when you go to place your order, and let's say it comes to £57, you can round it up to £60, and that money builds up in a kitty. And then if one of their customers falls on their luck and can't afford to buy their food, they just send a message into head office and say, look, this has happened, I've lost my job and so forth. And they can pay back against free. We've got to have more of this stuff going on.
I agree.
Chris, I come back to what I said earlier. Gloria and I travelled the entire country for 7 months. And don't mean this from a begging point of view, but we travelled at other people's expense because we were staying in people's houses. People were giving us food. Farmers were packing us off with a goodie bag to go on the next part of our tour. We travelled for 7 months purely on other people's kindness. And that said to me that there's a lot of kind people in this country, despite what the media leads us to believe.
I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. And but my ex-so has said, go into a Sunday carvery pub and see how high people pile their greedy plates. Well, that is a sort of a natural thing. That's a kind of natural greed, and the system fuels this sort of greed. But I think if we had a different type of system, and it's coming around that way, I think people will be more caring and thoughtful. And I like that idea of take a ticket. I like that ticket idea because you can go in there and you still got your dignity. You just get the tan.
Absolutely.
I like the idea that there's a farmer's safety net where they don't have to rely on these large corporations and grocery chains in order to make a living. That's where your strong point is.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know what it's like across in Wisconsin, but one of the things which we're struggling with in the UK is that they've closed all the abattoirs down. And our licensing in the UK states that we can't kill an animal on our farm and then sell it to the public. We can kill it for ourselves, but we can't kill an animal on our farm Yeah, we can't kill an animal on our farm and then butcher it and sell it to the public. That's against the law.
That's
So
like the
they've
chicken
closed down all
license.
the small abattoirs. Well, just to give you an idea, when I was a kid, and Paul and Eric will know the same as this. When we were kids, every village had an abattoir behind the
That's
butchers,
right.
Yep.
and now
That's
they've
right.
all gone. There's just none. We're down to about 300 abattoirs in the entire country. Do you know at one point we had 80,000 mills in the UK. We now have about 200. It's just ridiculous. So one of the things which we're looking at as a CIC is how we can fund mobile abattoirs, mobile mills, and the abattoirs will not only kill the meat, they'll pack it as well for the farmer to go directly into their farm shop. The mill, we can grind their oats to make porridge. We can grind their wheat to make flour. Pack that in kilo bags so they can then sell it on the farm. And these are the things which I think the initiatives we've got to drive forward with.
Yeah, we have mobile abattoirs here. They come out with a truck and a boom type thing, and they just butcher, go to town doing that kind of stuff.
At this point, they're illegal in the UK.
Yeah.
So how are we going to do? Sorry, I'm sorry, Patrick.
Go ahead, Eric.
That's
Please.
okay. What I was going to say is, how are you going to sort of get around the bureaucracy of opening up
We've
more?
got to change the system. As simple as that. At this point in time, we are heading for a suicide mission within the farming industry, food industry. We all know that. The change has got to come. We've got to take control of DEFRA and the budget. That's the bottom line.
We don't need DEFRA. We don't need these people.
If we can get round it, I think we can put enough pressure on the MPs and DEFRA personally, because the problem is at the minute, the NFU stands for no fecking use, right? The farming unions are useless. There is no one else arguing with the authorities on a daily basis. What we've got to do is get enough weight of volunteers together to really put the pressure on these people to get the legislation changed.
Is DEFRA similar to the USDA?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And you guys have had all sorts of trouble over the other side of the water with ostriches and being cold and bird flu going on.
It reminds me
playbook over here, Patrick.
It reminds me of a story my grandpa told me of his uncle Homer and his brothers over in Montana back in the 30s. They opened up their own abattoir slaughterhouse, and farmers were going to them with their stock of cattle and sheep and all that. But what would happen would be these Hormel guys, and you know who Hormel is. They make spam, 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 and spam. And they went up to the farmers and they'd say, well, you go over to the LaFon's abattoir and we'll never do business with you at all. And that's what they do. They're just bullies, bully behavior. And the USDA is the same type of situation. It's like you need to create a local environment of trade. Kind of like here, if you want raw milk, your best bet is to go to the Amish because they're more willing to do business with you. They're not a big farm reliant on the state for funding. And like our local farmers that do dairy, it's hard to approach them because they're so busy with these big machines, and it's like you're inconveniencing them to go to their farm. So you're better off just going and getting it at the store as far as they're concerned. But the Amish have a little bit different outlook, and we have a few like CCAs or whatever they're called.
CSAs.
CSAs, excuse me.
Yeah.
But that's really small scale, and it tends to be expensive compared to going to a grocery store, unfortunately.
Sure.
But it's still a good idea. It's just the bureaucracy of it all is the problem. And then having to deal with the USDA is a whole nother thing. I look at their Twitter page and it's got the rainbow flag all over it. And it's like, I don't even want to support that stuff. Get tied into that kind of thing.
It's interesting. One of the things which has happened, we've had we had 700 volunteers sign up in the UK in the last few weeks to get involved in the food hub and to help us push it forward. And several of those have been legal people, people who retired barristers and solicitors that are wanting to get involved in the background to make sure that as a CIC we're covered correctly, that we're inside the right laws and legislation, to make sure that if anyone who we're supporting gets in trouble, that they can help back them up. And I think we're starting to see a lot of this. And across the world, as I said, in the last 3 weeks, we've got 2,000 people signed up to donate £1 a month. Now, let's say that's £1, $1, €1, whatever that might be. Just imagine if we was in the position we could get 20, 30, 40, 50 million people signed up for this worldwide. Can you just imagine the difference we could make to the food supply chain worldwide? And that's the reason I didn't set it up as a limited company, because I didn't want it to be something that could be bought out in the future. I wanted it to be something that was protected by the fact it sits within a charity status, as opposed to a commercial entity, what could be bought out by shareholders.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Especially having the reference, the market, where you just look on a map. Hey, this is close to me. I'll buy from them. That's perfect.
Yeah.
And the
That's
sheep.
what we need.
What do you think of the sheep farming? Because it's a kind of a dual purpose thing. You can make textiles out of the wool. You can eat the sheep. You can make milk, cheese, whatever.
It's an interesting one, because in the UK, Patrick, for the last 30 years, let's say, a fleece of wool has had no real value. And this year is the first year in, I think, 30 odd years where fleeces are starting to have a value again. And I notice now that even the military, the British military, all their undergarments, their socks and their underwear are now all made from wool. Yeah. And we're starting to see people want to come away from the petrol-based products, like nylons. They actually want good quality natural products, but there isn't any wool mills anymore to produce the stuff. And we've got to start from the beginning again. We're almost gone back 100 years, 200 years even, to pre-industrial revolution. We were kind of back at the beginning again, really. But this time we've got the knowledge of how to do things really quickly. And I think that's where we're now coming to with, the amount of unemployment in the world because of AI is going to lend itself beautifully to home businesses starting up again. And that might be someone who collects fleeces from a farm, what they have, £1 value, for instance, and they might then turn that into wool. It might be, the apple, the farmer who's got an orchard with apples dropping on the ground that he doesn't want, someone might make cider. And I think we're going to have to see a complete revolution in the food industry.
Yeah, and it's going to be to the point where you're competitive with the market as it stands with the Amazons and this sort of thing, especially like, for instance, wool as something where you can make clothes out of it. I'm looking on Amazon to get pure wool socks, cost like $100.
Yeah.
Very expensive.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you have to import them from Austria or someplace.
Yeah. And I know a lady who sells them locally to me at a farmer's market for £20.
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't the great wealth of Norfolk in years gone by driven by sheep, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Huge. I mean, they built, that Ely Cathedral. It's all built. I think there's parts of Norwich in and around there. They've got more sort of churches per square acre, and they all paid to build these great monuments because they had so much bloody spare cash in their pockets from basically being sheep breeders and dealing with sheep. There's these phenomenal reports, from Venetian ambassadors. Sorry to go slightly historical and off beam for a bit. Coming over in the 1500s in the court of Henry VIII. Talking about the wealth of this nation. I don't know if you've ever seen these reports. It's gobsmacking. They say England is by far and away the wealthiest nation in Europe. And it was all to do with this really efficient and intelligent animal husbandry and the whole of this sort of thing that people had learnt from the boots up over those previous 500 years of building England's green and pleasant land, much of which we can still see, but not as much as they used to be. But it's true, old ways at best ways. And
cloth is usually the basis of the economy, your cloth and your manufacturing.
Yes.
We can get Clarkson involved. Clarkson, we need to get Clarkson signed up for this because he'd be a great mouth. But anyway, I'm sure everything will happen in its own natural course. But he's done more, I think. He's done such a huge amount
in 5 shows than the NFU or Countryfile has in 25 years.
Yeah, he's made people fall in love with all the right wealthy parts of life. You just go, everybody's suddenly thinking, including me, right? I wouldn't have had a conversation like this 10 years ago. Oh, yeah, food turns out to be really vital for life. It's not sort of like an option. It's like it's no food, no life. How about that? And this is what's come across. Do you remember as well? I'm just thinking that wonderful character he's got in there, that guy that speaks funny, who's just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, and nobody understands what he says. I'm sure Americans won't get a word of it. I just fall about laughing. He's absolutely brilliant. You remember Fred Dibner? You know, the steeplejack? He's got a similar presence to him. He's like a guy right out of the past. He's a guy from the 19th century or the 20th century in the 21st, and you're going, this is cool. It sends out this sort of energy wave of things that are real, that are grounded, that are good, the things that we want, the feeling of life that is right. It's sound. It's based on pragmatic principles. You go, yeah, it's not about borrowing money and making a profit and talking about the bloody economy and all this other crap that we talk about. It's like we want local food that's really good, and we want to eat it. You know, what's that thing? It needs to be as near in the ground to your plate as you can possibly get it, and you're going to get the best food going into your body.
Stanley Irwing is the bloke you're talking about, the bloke who spoke all weird. And is that
no? No, I'm not. I'm talking about this guy on Clarkson's Farm. That you've got to watch it. If you haven't seen it, Eric, you need to watch it.
Farm, no,
yeah, they're brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I don't know if I'm going to do it. It's energizing. It's really, it's a fantastic show. I've enjoyed it more than anything else in the last 10 years on TV. Yeah, it's that good because he's thrown himself in. He's sort of like a media lovey in a way, but he's not. He's got grit about him, and you watch him doing this stuff, and I'm going, bloody hell, that's fantastic. What he's thrown himself in there. I know he's supported by the budget from Amazon, and so he doesn't face these things, but he's genuinely concerned. He pulls in other farmers in the local area, the sort of battles he's had with the council, just to sort of be able to sell his food direct to the people. You're looking at this, and in microcosm, you've got the whole mess of the country taking place on his farm. And the farm is a great analogy. I mean, that's why Orwell used it, right? It's a brilliant sort of extension. If it works on a farm, it'll work for the whole country. And don't they say running a restaurant as well as farming is the toughest job you can get? To run a restaurant's really difficult, I think. He's got so many skill sets. You got to get fresh food in, everything. He's got the lot, and you got staff and and he's dealing with all of this kind of stuff. And you go, hey, yeah, life's actually like that. It's not like in some sort of movie where you all ponce around in silk suits and sort of trade shares. That's just crap. All that stuff. People have got to eat. So he's made it real. It's gritty TV. You'd love it, Eric. I've forgotten the name of the guy. He speaks in a Cotswold accent that you literally can't. You just go, what the bloody hell was that? It's magic. It's absolutely magic the way he talks. And everybody's looking at him going, Clarkson sometimes just looks at the camera and goes, what was that? You can't make a word out. It's brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic.
Well, I got a telly, so I wouldn't know. But the thing, unless I can catch up with it on YouTube, I might look at it on YouTube. But what do you think now? I know nothing about farming, but what do you think about bunny farming? Because they're saying that keeping rabbits now, people are going back to World War II because they breed like bleeding rabbits. You never have a shortage of them. They're humping away like anything. And, you get some nice fur from it. And the trouble is there's not much meat on a rabbit. I think you can feed a family on it, can't you?
I'll tell you what I think we're going to see in the future, especially if the World Economic Forum has their way, because they are trying to obviously cull the cows, sheep, pigs. They're trying to get rid of farm animals. I think we could see a lot more people going back to the sort of the garden animals, which, like you say, during the war, people kept chickens, they kept ducks, they kept, rabbits. But what I think is the most underestimated food that we could grow and produce in this country, and they produce a lot of it in South America, and that's guinea pigs.
Really?
Yeah, wow. Guinea pigs. You look into it in South America, they eat these big ones, like they're as big as rabbits. And I think they're a very undervalued potential food source.
Trouble is, how would people psychologically? It's like eating dog. I mean, the Chinese eat dog. I mean, if you had Rover served up on a plate, would you like a Rover with an orange in its mouth? I think you'd lose your appetite pretty quick, wouldn't you?
It depends how hungry you are, doesn't it?
Yes, I suppose so. Yes,
but you're right. There is a move back to that local, within your household, in having a farm, a small, if you have a small area, you till it and you have rabbits and all sorts of different diverse types of food available nearby. I remember going to Russia near Kursk, where all this war is going on now, before it kicked off again, and people there, they were all stocked up. They had their victory gardens just like they would have back in the war. That is very important to them to have that food there, and then they'd have their root cellars, and they'd can, and they'd just have all sorts of jars full of all sorts of vegetables and fruits and meats, and they'd be doing that all summer, just stocking up, getting prepared, and then you could see why they did it because of what's going on now there.
I have to say, and Patrick, I don't know whereabouts, in America where you are, if it's the case, but I actually believe that we need to go back to that as a part of our education in schooling, of actually knowing how to produce and grow food, produce food, look after animals. Our kids ain't taught anything anymore about food, and I think that's really concerning now that we're so detached from food. And I think that's one of the things as a CIC we'd like to do is to work on community education programs that would enable children that are outside the school system, whether that's either through home educated children or children that are challenges in school, so they get sent to somewhere for work experience, or that we can train some of these children again in how to produce food, how to understand food, and actually understand what it is and where they can find it. When I was a kid, my granddad would take me, we'd wander around the meadows and find mushrooms and pick nuts and dig up wild garlic and different things, and we would know what leaves we could pick. Children have no idea now. And I think that's very concerning that, we've moved so far away from the food supply.
Now, Aunt Sally said, sorry, Patrick, please continue.
I was just going to say that the way it used to be here, see, I live in Wisconsin, northwestern Wisconsin, near Minneapolis, and the way it always used to be is in the country, you would have the farmers, and in the city, you would have the brokers. They would be the ones that would bring things to market and deal with the farmers and that sort of thing. Like Pillsbury's one of the bigger ones here, General Mills, 3M, that sort of thing. Yeah. So we definitely have to get back to that. And then it's usually the people out in the rustic areas that learn those things. But as time goes on, we're just, everybody's addicted to their phones, so they don't go out as much as they used to. It's just a matter of socializing that, it's not anything that's really put in there. But we do have like agriculture studies in schools here. So we do have that. And we have lots of farms. Wisconsin is farmland. If it weren't for farms in Wisconsin, I don't know what we'd be doing because it's a big industry, and it's just something that we need, this networking of an alternative to having to be dependent on big government, big pharma, big farms, that sort of thing. Because these farmers get paid no matter if their crops fail or not. I mean, it is a good system for the farmers in a sense because it's socialism for them. If you read Michael Hudson, he has a book on super imperialism that talks about how the American farmers, when Roosevelt came in, they get subsidized big time. But it's a double-edged sword, because then you get these big conglomerates coming in and saying, well, we want all this soy and we want maize, and it ends up you just have monoculture, and there's no real thing for herbs or any of that kind of stuff going on. It's all Chinese imports now.
Yes.
So.
And Aunt Sally said, no, we can't eat guinea pigs. I used to have them. They're the sweetest little creatures. They also shit a lot and eat it.
Same with rabbits.
Does that mean their shit is sweet? Is that
no,
what
you
makes them
fertilize
sweet?
your plants with that?
I don't know. And Enviro says we are going to have a situation where people mistake a pet shop for a takeaway. and he's gone on to say, the thing is, Aunt Sally, guinea pigs could also make brilliant dusters and draft excluders.
Yeah, and a nice pair of slippers too if you've got small feet.
Yes.
You haven't seen the size of some of these guinea pigs in South America.
Really?
Honestly, they're huge.
Feet long.
Yeah, but the good thing about but what's wrong with rabbits? Because rabbits are randy most of the time. They're matey like anything. They're
I think guinea pigs are pretty good in that regard as well, Eric.
Yeah, but they're
quite
also
lively.
they can't produce their own vitamin C, and they go down with a lot of diseases. Guinea pigs, whereas rabbits can, because I think us guinea pigs and another animal can't produce our own vitamin C, and they don't know why.
Quite correct.
I bet Aunt Sally would be able to show us how to make a nice broth from guinea pigs.
Guinea
It'd be a
pig
similar
broth.
thing. Guinea broth. It's fantastic.
Guinea broth,
21
yeah.
shillings it costs. It's a guinea.
And
Yeah.
if you get them long haired ones and you shave them, you could knit yourself some socks as well.
What's this? Parrot pie. Yum.
Well, yeah, that's in response to every sort of pet shop being a takeaway. You're going in there, absolutely. How much is that minor bird? Oh, you can't eat that. No, probably not. Not much meat on them minor bird.
Yes. Or you could have a shop that says, "We sell anything to eat." The bloke said, "Well, okay, I'll have a rhinoceros on toast, please. I'm sorry, we're out of bread." That's the sort of thing you probably get in this country. But I mean, look what's happening to bread now. They're putting an additive into it, which is carcinogenic, apparently.
Folic acid.
Yes. Why?
Although we're describing problems here, if we flip it round, because this is all I'm hearing, aren't we describing the most tremendous opportunity to get to work for everybody? Isn't there a place for every single person in this conversation and in the land to get involved in this at whatever level they think that they can contribute? I mean, it's open to literally everyone.
100%.
And it just means that we bypass the middleman. The whole plague of the modern world is the middleman, market makers. They sit in the middle and bend the will of both supplier and consumer, and then they rake it all out of the middle. It's how they control the banks.
Yeah.
Well,
it's just the banking model applied to food.
Yeah.
Well, early this year, someone had outside their house had a tray full of apples and said, "Free." Now, why can't we get, I've got a fair-sized garden, but the trouble is, all the neighbours are interested in around where I live is plastic grass. I hate it. Have you seen this plastic grass?
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. People they'll wake up, they'll rip it all up, Eric, I'm sure. You remember a thing, actually, it's probably still going strong, called Craigslist a few years ago. It was a big deal on the internet. It was just a sort of personal ads type thing. I mean, it got a reputation for having really sordid personal ads on the sort of relationship front. But you could just put something up there and sell it. We've got this, I don't want to make this a technology chat. We do have this connection technology that we've never had before for providing details and information of things that are available really quick. And out of Food Hub, it's like the Food Hub network, these things have got to just take place. I mean, it's not difficult to do. It really isn't. You go, "Oh, I've got some food. It needs picking up." You just put an ad up. Someone might knock on your door going, "I'll pick half a cow up from you," or whatever it is. What have you got? It's that. And we'll probably find that people's larders, metaphorically and in real terms speaking, are overflowing with stuff that people keep throwing away. They keep saying we're throwing all this food away. Well, why don't we just produce better food and you don't have to throw as much of it away? And if you've got it left up, just share it out. You know, the guys that we talk about that are sleeping in doorways. I mean, there's a guy here locally, bloody hell, I've given him nearly 20 quid this week. Sometimes I'm going, do I give him another £5? And I'm looking at him and it's been bloody freezing for about 4 days. He's so appreciative. But that thing you were talking about the ticket system with the coffees or whatever, these things, they need to be applied. And in these little actions, you can see the glue. I call it the glue of our life coming back. They've broken, they've applied some kind of a thing that's a solvent that's destroyed the glue, and we've got to re-glue ourselves back together again. I'm not even worried about the authorities. Why are we having to we should spend as little time with them as we absolutely must. They are to be dismissed. They are to be, when they write to us, you go, "Yeah, I'll get back to you in 90 days. You just use all their tactics and just wear them. There's a lot more of us if we can get coordinated, but we are getting coordinated. It's not an if. It's a when. This is a when now. It's not an if. It's when this is going to
And I'll tell you what they're doing in Northern Ireland. local
Burning down
shopkeepers.
hotels.
Not only that, they're refusing to serve MPs. Any politician that walks in to their shop, they're refusing to serve them. And Aunt Sally has said, my children, which is ate my chicken, yes, 8 guinea pigs in Peru a few years back. They said they tasted like horseshit smells. Oh.
Oh, yeah, but that gives you appetite, doesn't it? Oh, shit.
Yes, nice bit of bullshit. And
we used to go drive around the country. My mum would go, "Oh, can you smell that?" I go, "Oh, yeah." She go, "I'm bloody hungry now." And let's go for something to eat.
By the way, we need. Can we all agree on this? We need a monument to that man who was a farmer and he had so much hassle from the local council that he filled all his sewer what they call it, soilage truck up with shit. I went to the local council and decided to spray the outside of the council building with it.
Right.
That man needs a monument. I mean, you know. But Enviro says, of course, modern homes are no longer built with a pantry. That's correct. Which was ideal for keeping fresh
Or a
fruit
garden.
and veg in. Yes.
I thought, so it's not a place where you keep your pants?
No. That's
I don't
funny,
wear any.
isn't it?
Yeah, I got confused when I was a kid
it's-
because I'd go in there.
so
there were never any
I know
pants in there.
why you don't wear. Yeah, but you know why you don't wear any pants? Because you used to like that show, the Nicholas Parsons show. Sorry.
He
Well,
was
about
nice,
vicars who
wasn't
don't
he?
wear underwear,
The
isn't it?
housewife's choice.
Yes. Was he? Sale of the Century is the most smarmy bastard ever. People say, it's really sort of, oh dear, you've lost winning that boat, haven't you? To rub it in.
Oh, Eric, you did that so well. I think you've missed your vocation in life.
You almost saw Eric minced across the chair, didn't you?
I did. There was a bit of mincing coming in there.
Well, I did have some mince today, so that's probably the reason why.
Yeah.
But no, it's funny though because was it? Oh, hang on. Enrose says it's not a pantry is not a plant that grows undies. Oh dear. Oh, but what we could do, I mean, people have got gardens. You could sort of. Some people become particularly skilled in growing certain things. You could say, well, look, you know, I'll grow the lettuces if you grow the tomatoes or something, or you know, if you grow the potatoes and things. Oh, by the way, anybody, something, well, blatant potato plant, something's nibbled all the foliage away.
Migrants.
Could be, but you know, I mean,
It's
I put all
migrants
the,
that have done that.
I put the straw all around to stop the bleeding slugs and snails, and something's eaten the top bits. What could have done it? Birds?
I would say it's still slugs, personally.
Well, I did find a snail in amongst the hay. I don't know what the bleeding hell is. A dharma or something,
Snails or slugs, I think, personally. I just, yeah. And to be honest, the tops are not that important anyway.
Oh, that's all right then.
They're not that important. You know, at the end of the day,
As long
don't
as the bastards don't, really, as long as the bastards don't eat me potatoes, I'll be happy.
No, they'll be fine. Yeah, they'll be fine.
But was it Aunt Sally said, throw your pants at the wall and see if they stick, Paul. Saves putting them away. Yes, because in Australia,
I think we just got an insight into what Aunt Sally's doing. That's a great tip. Obviously, you must know from personal experience. So
that's what she's doing, laying in the bath with someone's undies, chucking them at the wall.
Yeah,
that's
it's exciting in that bathroom. There's a lot going on in that bathroom. I'll tell you, there's more than we know. There's a lot going on.
Do you know in Australia they call underpants crusties? Because I worked with some Australians once. They said, "Oh yeah, just went down to Marks and Spencers and bought some crusties."
We used to call them when we were kids. We used to call them shreddies, because you know how the gusset gets shredded. Yeah.
Yes.
So they were just known as shreddies. Yeah, because you know the gusset just wouldn't last long, particularly when you're going through your growth years from like 13 to 19 or something. They were just ripping all the time, like the Hulk in a day. Just keep, yeah. Oh God, shred
Sounds,
again.
oh,
Yeah.
sounds to me, Paul, like some of the women you went out with were in a bit of a hurry.
Yeah. Well, it was
Yeah.
up north. It was cold up there and all. I
Yes.
had to get on with things.
We used to call them skids.
Oh, yeah, yeah, skids. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we called them that as well. Yeah.
when I was a kid, we all went to Pontins, and there's a swimming pool there. There's a bloke came along with a pair of white trunks, a big great skid mark off the back. White trunks with a skid mark. I suppose he went in to have a swim to clean his trunks. That's a good idea, isn't it?
It's not the Ganges, I didn't think the Pontins was based on the Ganges.
Now, hang on a minute. I've Avon Kurt said, "Hi Eric, did you mention yesterday you may have Natasha Campbell McBride on soon?" Yes. Her knowledge on the microbiome, gut flora, is incredible, and same with Dr. Myhill. And I'm trying to get Dr. Myhill back on again.
Dr.
And it would be she is, and she's absolutely. I was very, very lucky to get her. She's in a very high demand. But Natasha Campbell, I've had an email back. I've got to respond to it. So we keep our fingers crossed. So because she is in very high demand as well. But she is bloody brilliant. Because she reckons that vegetables. Now I could get this wrong. I'm not a doctor. I apologise to Dr. Natasha if I've got this wrong. But I think my interpretation was that when you eat vegetables, it kind of cleanses your intestines, ready for the meat. That's why when you have a plate of food, you eat your veg first and you meat afterwards. I don't eat meat first because I'm hungry. But
yeah, me and all.
have you heard that one?
Tell you someone I do know, and something that I've been talking to a lot of nutritionists about of late, and people are now waking up to this worldwide, and some people know about it, some people don't. But when we were kids, if you were poorly, the first thing Mum would do if you had a cold was get a spoonful of local honey and stick in your mouth. And one of the things which we've come away from in this country is the understanding of your local environment and what that does for your body. So if your DNA, for instance, let's say your DNA is made up of your local surrounding vitamins and minerals and so forth, and you start eating food that's come from South America, New Zealand, Africa, whatever it might be, the nutritional value, what isn't in that, isn't giving you anything at all because it isn't local food. What you should do is be eating local food, locally, seasonally, and that will give us what our body actually needs to keep us safe and nutritionally fed. And so one of the challenges we've got with a lot of the country now not producing food is that nobody can get what they need from their local earth. And that's an issue.
And what was that, Patrick? Patrick, your trick with the honey. You still there, mate?
Yeah, it's an old medicine that goes back to Hippocrates, where he prescribes it for almost any sort of digestion problem or inflammation or any sort of like topical thing or respiratory. It's called Oxymel. And what they did was you'd take half part honey, half part vinegar, and you'd mix those two together, and it's a natural remedy for any of those problems. And so I would say look up Oxymel. It's Oxymel, and the history of it and what they used to do with it. And apparently it's antibacterial or antimicrobial, and it's got properties where if you took honey by itself, it's got plenty of antibacterial type of properties, and same with vinegar. But when you combine those two together, it's 100 times more effective than either of them singly. So it's quite worth looking into, and for like your digestion, inflammation, any of that kind of stuff. If you're having indigestion, it's one of the best things in as a cough medicine. And then also as a tincture, as a medium for any sort of herbs that you would use medicinally. And Hippocrates would go into that in his old writings in Greek. about the qualities of it. But like vinegar, it can be any vinegar: apple cider vinegar, malt vinegar, red wine vinegar. That's my favorite. And there again, the more local and the more wild and less any sort of pasteurization, the better.
That's brilliant. Because I have Nasing honey. That's from just up the road to me, Nasing. And it sounds a nice name, Nasing. That incidentally is where Michael Barrymore used to live, where that famous swimming pool accident happened. I guess you wouldn't know Michael Barrymore, would you, Patrick? You've heard of him over in
his life is the better for it, to be quite honest, Eric. I don't think.
Yes.
You
I
ain't
think
missed
you're right.
No.
No, you hadn't missed much, no.
No.
But I think you're spot on there about local foods. I'll tell you something else. My granddad and the old people used to scrape the pips out of the seeds out of tomatoes. They'd never eat the seeds. And they've since found that you shouldn't eat the seeds of tomatoes because they can rip the inside of your intestine.
My dad ended up in hospital as a result of in the tomato pips. Yeah, they actually cut into his stomach lining and then started to seed inside his stomach. So he ended up with them growing inside his stomach.
Really?
And really, yeah. He was exactly the same age I am now, and when he was rushed into hospital with it, his dad died of it at 57, and his granddad died of it at 57. So
Really?
I done it.
Hang on, my granddad was right. He was always frightened of the seeds growing inside him.
Yeah, and that's
Spot
true.
on.
Yeah. And it was because
Just had a tomato tonight.
What was wrong with my dad?
Now.
Tomato seeds.
Incredible. Because people used to laugh, oh, of course they can't grow inside you. So they can grow inside you.
Yes.
Well, there's a tribe in South America that takes the tomato and creates a really deadly poison with it. There's a poison that can be made from tomato.
It's a type of deadly nightshade. It's in that same family.
Yeah. Family, aren't they?
What do I do about a sausage and tomato sandwich, though, with brown sauce, which is the greatest sandwich in the world? It's just the best.
Give up your HP sauce there, Paul.
Take the pips
Yeah,
out.
brown HP sauce and tomatoes, they just do something amazing when they get together. And if you've got some nice sausages in there and a toast, I'm salivating even as I'm talking about this. It's terrible. I'm going to have to check out my tomato supply. Blimey,
Now,
important.
Alvin Court said, tomatoes are part of the deadly nightshade family. I had a problem with them a bit, and they're coming in thick and fast. What is it now? Oh, here we are. Contact Times said glyphosates will be the biggest human health issue when aliens land and inform us of stuff in a few years' time.
What gets me is the amount of soy in a lot of wheat products.
Yes.
It's like, what's the point? It's a filler, but it's like it's supposed. Apparently, soy is okay if you ferment it, and even then in small quantities. But the amount that goes into most industrial food products now is ridiculous.
Yeah.
We used to have a local bakery. All they would use is tallow or lard for baking or frying, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then it seems like in the 90s, everybody switched to using a type of soy with like a small percentage of lard mix in it. And there's no flavor to it. And then the health problems, all that kind of thing. You get these people who have gluten intolerance and all that kind of stuff. It makes you wonder, is it because of all the additives that are added to the wheat?
Well, I don't know if you know this, Patrick, but gluten, most people actually aren't allergic to gluten. What actually happens is, if you get wheat and you put glyphosate on it, it changes the protein value. And it's the protein value change that makes you ill. And it's got the same side effects as gluten. So farmers the health industry came up with the answer that people were gluten intolerant to cover the fact that the chemicals were changing the protein value in the wheat.
And what about like the soy? They also use glyphosate for soy, I'd imagine.
100%.
And then they add that.
So Mark Anthony said, so is the tomato without the seed okay?
Yeah. Well, I can eat them, but I just won't eat the pips.
I've read, people laughed at my grandparents when they said that about it growing inside. Oh, of course they can't grow. but they can. That's brilliant. I'll tell you another thing they laughed at. My granddad always used to say Odgiston. People used to say, no, it's Hoddesdon. Apparently, the name was changed to Hoddesdon. It used to be known as Odgiston. So
What is
he
it?
was
Is that
right
a
again.
place?
Yeah.
Is
So
it
that's a place. There's a place just up the road to me. And now we've got some advice here for you, Paul. It says here, hang on, where is it? Remove the tomatoes and replace it with tomato ketchup and keep the brown sauce. Now, that's a good idea, isn't it? Yes. But,
I've written, I'm going to.
mm,
Yeah, that's a bit worrying, though, isn't it? Really, all
Yes.
those sauces is probably full of all these chemicals in the sauces.
Yes.
Yeah.
But,
What about the seedless tomatoes? Are they any good for you?
I don't think anything what's seedless is any good for you, to be honest.
Right.
Bear in
It's
mind,
not
it's had
natural.
the life's been taken out of it. If you get seedless grapes, they might be beautiful to eat, and but
Yeah.
bear in mind they've had the ability to be able to reproduce taken away. So, that's GMO. You can call it what it is. That's GMO food.
Now, Ivan Kurt said, I'd really like everyone here, regulars and hosts and guests. Oh, that's good. To make the trip to Cornwall early next summer. I have a trailer tent with 2 double bed compartments I can set up for anyone, and I can't pronounce that word. You can say it, Paul,
Maleficus.
and him as well.
Maleficus. Yeah.
And he's gone on to say, I'll be happy to host.
Well, you can
And
book me on that.
fireside chats. Oh, isn't that lovely? Oh, that's very, very nice.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And
One
will
thing
you be able to stand someone telling fart jokes most of the evening? Sorry.
One thing we are doing next year, and Paul, I've got to be honest, I think you should come with us on this. We're going to do, through the Food Hub, we're going to do like food trials where we travel the country next year with a chef and go all over the country doing taste testing and do food awards. And I can't help but think that, a sausage sandwich with some local tomato sauce in it and local brown sauce would have to be the pièce de resistance of things to try. A bacon butty or a sausage sandwich, is something that we could do countrywide or even potentially worldwide. I think we should just take this on board.
I think it sounds a brilliant idea. I'd probably put a lot of weight on, though. This is really worrying.
What about a
lot of
Fockum
weight
dough?
It would make you walk behind the bus.
I'd have to do a lot of walking. Bloody hell. But that's a fantastic idea. I've got loads of little things that I'm not talking, that are just jumping through my head with the Food Hub thing, because I think it's like it is like the best hub for all of the things that we talk about. It's after you've broadcast, you got to go and eat something, right? I mean, it's the permanent glue for everything. It pulls you back down to earth. And
now what about this? What
a
about
question mark about phosphates? Do British farmers buy in phosphate to enrich the soil? Is that part of the process, or am I confused here?
Yeah, they do. But the problem is the trouble we've got in British farming is that 80% of all our farmers are using synthetic chemicals like phosphates, nitrogens and things to make up the PMK in the soil. What we need to be doing is actually looking at what's missing from the soil and then building the soil substance up. So we need to be using more natural organic material like, cow manure, sheep manure, something like that we could add to the soil to break the clay up. And then we can add the microorganisms to that to build the mycelium. And the mycelium is what passes the nutrition from the soil to the food. So the mycelium passes it via the root structure into the food, and that's what gives it its flavour. And that's the reason when you grow hydroponic food, it has no taste. So that's what we've got to avoid. We need to go back to real good quality soil, and that comes from, permaculture and electroculture and all these. When we visit, we did this tour of the country. We went to visit farms where they lay crystals everywhere to bring the energy into the soil. And the flavour of the food on there was just mad.
Now, what about crop rotation?
Wow.
Just classical crop rotation and letting a field go fallow.
And Patrick, one of the problems is, we used to run some brilliant systems in the UK where we would run a 5-year cycle, either a 4 or 5 year cycle where we would have animals on 1 year, then wheat, we'd have beans, we'd have, a cover crops and different things. We'd have a year fallow. None of that comes into play now on the bigger farms. So what we've done is just raped all the nutritional value out of the soil.
Yeah,
and we've just now got pudgy clay left. And it's got no goodness, no nutrition in it. So that's one of the biggest things we need to get back into farms, that whole crop rotation and animal rotation. That's why they want to get rid of the animals. That's why they don't want us to have animals on farms.
True. Yeah, because that's just it. If you're rotating your crops every year, you're introducing that missing mycelium and all the different
100%.
all the life that goes in and out of the field. It just letting it go back to nature for a year or two.
Yeah,
it does a tremendous amount to get it back, that healthy soil, and then have a fertile soil back when you go to plant your crop the next year. But the farmers around here, it's all monoculture. It's all either soy or maize, typically, and they just plant the same thing. You just, it's crazy.
And just keep chucking nitrogen on top of it to make it grow.
Right.
So it doesn't matter how poor a quality of the soil is, you can just keep adding nitrogen to make it grow. And, unfortunately, that's what's happened on the bigger farms across the world. And we've got to, in my opinion, those farmers won't survive because, if they're producing wheat and losing £100 an acre, good. The sooner they're not there anymore, maybe somebody can buy that land who wants to put some goodness back in the soil and actually grow some good quality food.
Well, the part of the problem too is the subsidies that they get from the government to grow that same crop year after year after year, and they have the surveyors come out and they put up their markers of their GMO product, to advertise it, and it's just disgusting when you think of it, and it never changes. I mean, even fields where there's corn, it'd be better to have soy rotated on that field and then the next year corn than just to have corn every single year, which is what they do here.
And they'll have a microbiologist come out and check the microbes in the ground, and he'll say, what you need is chemical A, B, and C, rather than what you need to do is put some cows on here for a year, or grow some beans to put the natural nitrogen back, and put some plantain in the ground and some clover, and and this is the problem we have with the whole of the agricultural industry now worldwide, that it's controlled by too few people, and those few people are all owned by shareholder companies, big pharma.
Now, let me interrupt you. What is your opinion about your farmers cooperatives there? Because now here we've got a lot of carpetbaggers that come in from New York City and buy up the local dairy cooperative, farmer cooperative, and then they run it like a business, like a multinational type business.
And we've got exactly the same problem here. So the dairy industry started out, they went down the road of setting up co-ops. Those co-ops were taken over effectively by organisations like Arla or Muller, and they've done exactly the same over here. They were great when they set up. They were set up with the right intention, but weren't set up with the foresight that somebody would come along, which is why I set my Food Finders Hub up as a CIC. I deliberately saw that could be an issue. If it starts to be successful, when it's got shareholders, somebody will come along and say, listen, there's £200,000, go away. And there was no way to stop that happening. So I thought, well, if I leave it inside a community interest company, there is no shareholders, then the only way we can go is up.
I have a question for you then about the Finders, the hub that you run. Now, say you have a tip from somebody, if they know somebody who's not on your site, on your map, how do they get that information to you? Say they know somebody who's producing farm goods and selling it that they would like to recommend to you. What do you suggest?
I'll be honest. What we've had a lot of people do, because we know there's different things which in the next week Patrick will be able to download on the website too, like covering letters and things. What you'll be able to just download and mail out to people. But what a lot of people do is if they know the farm's email address, they'll actually register the farm themselves. Let's say they go to a farm shop and they'll take some pictures in the farm shop. They pick a leaflet up with all their details on, and they'll register them on the site and register their email address. And then when they press submit, it sends a thank you letter to the farm for joining. And then it's on their email address and a password that's just sent to them. So they can then get in to change it for the future. And we've got to be able to build this. We've got 400 farms on there within in a short space of time. 400, 4,000, 40,000. There must be millions of farms across the world we could get on there.
Exactly. And even the non-farmers could then participate and be just based on the people that they know that they go to for that.
Yeah, well, Patrick, those people are ambassadors. So we've got 500 ambassadors already signed up on the site. So if you join as an ambassador, you can then recommend other people to join.
Excellent.
And there's an ambassador side on there saying the ambassador side in the next few weeks you'll be able to download memes that you can put on social media to encourage people to either join it from a farming point of view or from a public point of view. And there's all the covering letters on there to send out to people. And what I would say to anyone, if you go on the site and you see something what you think's missing, tell us. Please tell us, because this is about us collectively bringing this together.
Well, we should get you to do a little commercial for I run holylandradio.com and Paul does radiosoapbox.com where we could run your an ad for your website.
And I'll put it on here as well.
The Food Finders Hub.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And
there are definitely things we should be looking at.
And for Cornwall, Paul, I like your idea of having a Fockham Hall event where everybody is steampunk. You got you got your bowler hat, and and I've got my 3-piece suits on, prance around. So there we go. And
I'm actually thinking. I'm thinking that we really need to get in touch with a firm. I don't know what the equivalent ladies' headwear should be. Mark would really probably need to be the main advisor on this, but we need to start manufacturing bowler hats.
Yeah,
and I'm serious. They've become the emblematic bit of clothing.
That's a good
for this entire movement, so that we're all rock up at these meetings, and all the blokes are wearing bowler hats in honor of what Mark's kicked off here, what his energy has put into place.
A bloody
and
good
it just
idea.
it becomes basically, it's just like you wear a tie, but we wear a bowler hat. They go, oh, you're one of that? No, just like wearing a bowler hat. It doesn't matter. We can wear bowler hats, can't we? So we need to get in touch with the firm because we sell millions of bloody bowler hats, right?
It's interesting. I had a conversation the other day with a beautiful couple we met on the journey who run a news channel called David and Helen Den in Tetbury. And they rang me the other day and they said, listen, we're just hunting around the high street charity shops and things for bowler hats. We're going to start wearing them around the town to tell people about the food hub. And it's exactly like you said. And it's just, this is an iconic thing. Bear in mind that they were originally designed not for the gentry. These were designed for land workers. So if they went out into the forest at night on behalf of the Lord, and someone was, as a gamekeeper, and someone was trying to steal their deer, if they got clubbed on the head, they didn't get hurt. And that's why they were designed in Holcombe Hall. It was not for the banking industry.
And did
Take
you
it
know?
back. You're taking it back. We're taking it back.
In America, but by the time of the Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid, more men wore bowler hats than Stetsons.
That's true.
Yeah.
Nice.
I really do think that the textile is as important as the food that you're promoting, because I look at, for instance, in Africa, in Kenya, they have this word for all of the cheap secondhand rags they get from New Jersey, brought in on ships with like American T-shirts and this kind of stuff. It's called Mutumba. And they set up these shops there where they're selling this secondhand used clothing from the West. And all of the people in these African tribal countries where they'd make their traditional clothing stop making their clothing, and they just become reliant on the Western ships coming in with these clothes. And I think we need to return to the traditional clothing manufacturer and start wearing that. Even if it's a bit more expensive, it lasts longer, and it's
absolutely
a lot of it's warmer. And like the wool, for instance, that's big one. Flax, the linen is another. Getting back to the simple methods of, it's like the idea of Rumpelstiltskin, where you're constantly, you're making textiles. And that's the basis for your economy, really, when you think of it. if you don't have cloth and you're not making cloth, then you're dependent on other people then, and other economies.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, we can't just all walk around wearing just a bowler hat, can we?
Exactly.
I think it's a bit
And
awkward,
socks.
that.
Well, I don't know. I recently started in a calendar, and I had me wellies.
Steady
Um,
on.
I had me wellies, me bowler hat, and a butternut squash. That's all I had.
Bit cold this way,
Right.
wasn't it?
Yeah, fortunately, it was filmed in the summer.
Ah, that's good. So, yeah, I like the idea of the bowler hat though. I think that's quite a good one. And ladies wear.
You'd look
bowler
quite
hats
good
as
in
well.
one. You'd look quite good in one,
Yeah.
Eric. I think it might suit you. I don't know how you get your headphones over the top of the bowler hat, but I mean,
No,
still.
It'd be fun. I mean, ladies wear bowler hats as well. That's quite fashionable. So all
My
wearing
sister
bowler
has a
hats.
top hat with big glasses on it. She's into steampunk, and she's got a
Oh.
beautiful big top hat with big glasses right in the front of it.
Really. I do have a bit of a weakness though for women in scarves, like from the 1950s and things like this. I have to say, headscarves, when they're done right, I get quite excited around things like that.
Yes.
I
Audrey
don't know what that
Hepburn.
means.
She used to like she liked scarves, didn't she? Audrey Hepburn.
She was a babe.
Yeah. She was extremely feminine.
Very
What do
feminine.
they call her? There's a name given to one. She's a name I can't remember.
Oh,
It's like an elf. She's like an elf, really.
Yeah.
A
Yeah, she
gamin.
doesn't
Isn't
look bad,
gamin? Isn't
too.
that the word? What does that mean? Gamin. What is a gamin? I've got to look it up now. I'm sure that's what they called her.
But when you look at how smart people were in those days,
Oh, it's a
Harry
street
Grant,
urchin.
people like that.
Gamin's a street urchin, so I
Really?
didn't mean that at all.
Yeah,
That's more you, Eric, really.
yes,
In your
street
younger
urchin,
days.
yeah.
Yeah, I was a bit of a gamin as well. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, mister, can I have my ball back? Get out of here.
We go to a tip shop.
You
Well,
say that, guys. You know my picture, what Eric uses to do the introduction. One of my mates said to me, "You look like Fagin in that bowler hat against that stable door."
Well, I used to go into the local grocery store, doing an errand, and say, "Excuse me, mister, do you keep dripping?" He said, "Certainly, sonny." I said, "Well, go to the loo then." Sorry, it's terrible. And the other one is going to the fish and chip shops. "Excuse me, I got any chips over?" "Certainly, sonny, yes." "Well, it's your fault for bleeding cooking too many." No, I didn't say those things really. But Exo says that's a bit Clockwork Orange. Because they wore bowler hats, didn't they? In Clockwork Orange, the Droogs or whatever
Yeah.
it was called.
Yeah.
The only film I think that's ever been banned by its own director, because Kubrick banned it, didn't he?
Yeah, because of the soccer hooligans,
Yes.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes, but no, I think it's what we found out tonight, and I think we've gained a lot with this Food Finders hub. Is fantastic, and we will desperately rely on it. And I think it's going to be like natural selection. The people that are scoffing the crisps and all the crap that's in the supermarket, I think they'll just fade away in the end. They'll explode with their sort of obesity because of the amount of shit they're eating. And what gets me where I live, the amount of people have takeaways, which has got the more chemicals in takeaways than almost anything you could ever wish to think of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
But I can see
it's
the
still-
movement going this way. I can see it just absolutely going this way. I don't mind spending more money on better quality food. It's really people getting clear about this. They don't want loads and loads of stuff. It's better to spend more money on good food.
Yes.
It's the most important stuff in your life.
Yep.
What's that thing? You might have a lot of problems, but the minute you're ill, you've only got one problem. Someone said that to me, and it's absolutely true. And one of the ways you stave off illness is by making sure that what you put in your body is really good stuff. By the way, I was kind of correct. It's not a gamin. It's a gamine, Gamine, of a young woman, attractively boyish. It says a young woman with a mischievous, boyish charm. That really is Audrey Hepburn. Yeah, she was almost elf-like, but gamine, I'm presuming you say it like that. Gamine. A gamin is one of us. Yeah, we're gamins, but a gamine is a female street urchin. So there you go. Phew.
What about Doris Day? She's the only woman that could sing with ease. And she had a German name. She was German, wasn't she? Do you know that, Doris Day?
No.
See, not many people know that. Yeah. Yeah. I can't remember her real name, but yes. But anyway, sorry?
Adolf
or Fred. Could have been, you never know. Because let's face it, who's got the most trannies? Is it America in their government, or is it Britain? I don't know. I think there's a lot, and they're coming out on the inside, yes. And there's America on the outside with Michael Obama, and then we go.
When you said tranny, Eric, I thought you meant transistor radios. I don't know what you're talking about.
Or a transit van, because they were called trannies as well, weren't they?
They were a bit. Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
We've had a fantastic show, and I'd like to thank everybody for coming on. Absolutely brilliant show. Please come on a lot sooner next time. If you've got any time, that'd be fantastic. Good luck. So what's happened in Lincolnshire has fallen through, has it?
Well, it fell through on the grounds that I wanted to go straight away. They don't want me there till March, so we've got to kind of find a solution in between, which that's okay. You can live with where we are. The kind lady who's benevolently gifted us this cottage at present, when I asked, when do you want us out by, she said, well, I'm moving out in March. So that gives us a little bit of free time to real bed down on what we're trying to do with the CIC as well. And the food hub for me, next year we're going to be going on tour again. We've got the camper van. I had a lovely guy contact me. Got to tell you this before we go. Lovely guy contact me, retired guy who was a sign writer all his life, and said, could I please take your camper van and cover it in fruit and veg and loaves of bread and big fish and all cartoon food?
Wow.
He said, and so when you go on tour next year, people know you're really there. And I was like, wow, absolutely 100%.
Fantastic. That's great. It really is. And it's surprising how, as I say, generous people are as well. It really is.
Chris, if I told you, we have every day, we've had teachers, solicitors, barristers, bank managers, ex-bank managers, financial people from every spectrum, farmers, nurses, carers, everybody across the country is coming together behind this, because they're all starting to see that, the food, the nutrition, the health side, the education side. And then what else could we bring in? If we can get a big enough platform going, and people paying in £1 a month, and we can get enough money in the kitty to really start to make a change to things that matter to the communities.
I agree.
Yep.
100% agree with you. And also to prevent us driving absolutely miles to get anything, because once upon a time where I live, you just walked up the road and you sport for choice. Now, one farm left. There was about 20 farms when I first moved here.
Well, one of the things I've been looking at today is how we can get coaches and convert them into, bus coaches and convert them into mobile shops.
Yes.
That's one of the things we've been looking at, how we could finance that today, how much it would cost to buy one and kit it out, and, and what licenses you would need to drive it and things like that. So, there's 101 things we're out there working on. The big thing I need is some really good quality people behind me. And that's, out of 700 volunteers, we're starting to find those who want to come through as leaders. And, my next thing is we've broken the country down into counties, and I now need to get county coordinators, and then one coordinator to work alongside me in the UK, one to work alongside me in America, and then start to build this up worldwide and really put pressure on the big boys.
Yep.
That's right. Yes.
Sounds great.
How are you going to deal with, and I don't want to sound like a wet sort of lettuce, but how are you going to deal with the infiltrators and people like that?
The haters?
No, the infiltrators.
Chris, in anything, there's going to be infiltrators and haters. Just rise above it. This is, we what have we got to lose? I
agree with you, and people will turn on them. I think they'll stick out like a sore thumb.
Absolutely. As Paul made the point earlier, we've got all these people that are sitting in the background as politicians, and all these people that they show their true colours at every opportunity. Good, genuine people are going to see through that and see who they are. and then we can oust them out the door.
I actually think they've gone too far this time in power, and they really have gone too far. And I do believe they may be panicking. That's why they're rushing everything through, because
I think so too. Yeah.
Yes, because with this situation we've got now, I think it's the worst situation, but it's the best of times and the worst of times. And we have got to be positive and be, shall we say, wars are won, and we are at war in the hearts and minds of people. And the way you win a war is being positive and happy, cheering people up. And that's why they're spreading doom and gloom all the time.
Yeah.
Stress.
Yeah.
No, we'll meet up. We'll be happy. We'll have some great food. And I actually think that our biggest weapon, our best weapon of lot, is humour, laughter. Because the psychos in charge hate it. You try and crack a gag to Keir Starmer, he'll sort of look at you as if he's just been touched up, sort of.
Well, no, he'd probably like that. He likes Ukrainian comedians.
Yes, he does, doesn't he? Yes, he likes someone with a wise crack. Oh, sorry, I mean, on
that note,
anyway, on that note, thank you, Patrick, Paul, of course, the bowler hat farmer, for joining us, and everybody in chat. And remember to tune in to on Thursday. It will be the Paul English Live on Rumble at 8 o'clock UK time. And you're going to have on, Paul, what's coming out on Thursday?
You. Unless, of course, I get an invite to go out to another Shakespeare meeting, in which case I'll cancel the show. No, I won't. There will be a show this Thursday. So, don't know. It's only Monday night, isn't it? I normally start contacting people Tuesday and Wednesday, so we might have someone on, and it'll be a surprise to everybody, including me. So there we go. But yeah,
and in chat, some advice here from Embryo 4000. If you can get hold of a Volvo B10M coaches, they're built like tanks. So there we go.
Awesome.
Special. Anyway, thanks for joining us tonight. And whatever happens, have a bloody good laugh. And remember to subscribe, put the thumbs up, and please consider subscribing. It'd be much appreciated. And remember, come over to the Telegraph chat room. That's always lively. And with Facebook, we're almost up to 300 members. So let's try and get there. 300 doesn't sound a lot, does it?
Chris, send me a link to what that is, and I'll help you get that up to 1,000.
Oh, that's very kind of you.
I've got 37,000 on Facebook, so we should be able to get that up really easy.
Oh, that's very kind. That's much appreciated.
Send me a link, because I didn't realise you'd got a channel on there, so send me a link.
Thanks, Mark. It's much appreciated. And remember, whatever happens, have a bloody good laugh and good night.